across Metro Detroit. As you can see here, it is out there. It is just arriving into the western part of southeast Michigan. So let's take a look at what we can expect throughout this morning. Good morning. I'm meteorologist Marisa Woloszyn, helping you get through the day today. This is just the first of two quick systems that are going to move on through. This one will be the quickest of the two. The other one actually is going to take some time and really impact us overnight tonight and then into tomorrow. But let's get back to what we're looking at and what's moving through. So as you can see, we do have a line of snow just off to our west. I'll put it into motion here and also take off the clouds, so it's a little bit easier to see. Again, looking at the darker blues indicating heavier snow, and then kind of the white color, it's fairly light. So still the heaviest of this band is on the back side, and that is closer to Lansing, and then almost just arriving in Jackson as we speak. So we are looking at snow showers mainly on the lighter side at this moment, arriving now into Howell, almost to Brighton, west of Ann Arbor, and then stretching down through Adrian at this moment. So this snow is going to move on through. It's going to move from west to east across the area. This is technically a warm front that the snow is actually along. And right now we are looking at cold temperatures in place. As you can see, we're waking up in the teens across the majority of the region. A few of us are in the low 20s. Mount Clemens, Port Huron, both in the low 20s. But most importantly, our temperatures are below freezing. And with the warm front coming through, well, most of this precipitation is melting, or not, excuse me, is not melting. It's falling as snow. But there is the potential that we may see a little melting going on as we continue to have this band move across the region. Just looking, National Weather Service issued a special weather statement, so that's is coming up on my phone. But let's kind of walk through what we have and what we can expect throughout today. And at any time, if you have questions, please just post below, and I will hopefully get some information out to you. Yeah, get the first one. Hello, Mid-Michigan, like the center of the mitten. Hi, Kat from Mid-Michigan. Great to see you. Okay, so yes, Mid-Michigan's looking at the snow right now. This is part of a line that goes all the way up, even farther, actually goes all the way to the UP here. So we are looking at snow this morning. The heaviest part of this snow, you can actually really see it. It's pretty good along this line. Again, this dark blue stretching from about Charlevoix down through Lansing right now, and then down kind of on the state line between Indiana and Ohio. So we're just starting to see the snow pick up here, but we are going to have this snow move through this morning, and unfortunately it's less than ideal time because it's 7 o'clock. It's the morning commute time. So if you haven't left already, you're going to potentially run into this, especially if you live mainly I-275 and west. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. Snow again just off to our west. This is Futurecast. I think it's actually doing a really good job on the timing of this event. As we get closer to 8 o'clock, we're starting to see more of the snow push into Oakland County, getting close to Lapeer County, getting very close to Wayne County as well as Monroe County. And then by 9 o'clock, we're looking at the snow arriving in the city of Detroit, even up towards Macomb, Sterling Heights, Warren, even farther to the north, and then eventually towards Port Huron, but not until 10 a.m. So that is almost 3 hours from now, but this band is going to move through. And then as you get closer to about 11 o'clock, lunch hour, we're still looking at snow, but mainly on the east side. And then as we get all the way through about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we're still holding on to a few showers north of M46, but otherwise most of us really aren't looking at anything left at that point. So this band is going to move through the region. The majority of it will move through in about 3 hours. So starting now, taking us through about 10, okay, maybe 4 hours, 11 o'clock as it moves through. The good news is we're not looking at inches and inches of snow with this band because it is a quick mover. It's technically a clipper system. We have those Alberta clippers. They move through really fast. They can bring us a quick amount of snow. So I'll give you a quick look at expected snowfall with this system. It's not going to be much. It's going to likely be around about an inch is going to be that median number, excuse me. Farther to the south, less than an inch of snow. We're talking about a half an inch at best, and then up to an inch. And then farther to the north, we could get some spots approaching 2 inches. I think a majority of us in that 1 to 2 range are going to be 1 to 1.5 inches of snow. So again, kind of 1 inch is that middle number that we are going to be seeing across the area. But to put things in perspective, yeah, it doesn't seem like much snow, but we saw about the same amount. It was split a little bit differently across the area on Sunday, and then we also saw the same amount last week on Wednesday. It's not much snow, but it is just enough to create some slippery driving conditions. So if you do have to travel anywhere this morning, going to work, taking your kids to school, be prepared for slippery driving conditions, especially on any untreated surfaces, because those are the roads that seem to struggle the most. I mean, the moment you put salt down or, de-icer even, it improves conditions drastically, because that's what we saw again in the last couple days. So I'm going to open my coffee this morning. If you're drinking coffee and joining me this morning, well, I guess cheers. I don't know. Anyways, I need the coffee to wake up. But that is what we're looking at with the snow. We are looking at about an average of 1 inch again, but it's just enough to make it slippery across the area. Also looking at potential for reduced visibility. I want to pop this up real quick. We don't have, we're not seeing it yet here in our region, but take a look off towards Lansing. Visibility is less than a mile. Jackson visibility is down to 1.7 miles. So as the snow comes through, again, it's moving rather quickly. So it's not going to bring us a lot, but it could not only lead to slippery conditions, but also reduce visibility rather quickly. So when we do start to see this line kind of hit some of our major commuting corridors, we are likely going to see some slowdowns in that region. So right now, the snow is just edging west of US 23. So if you take that route to work, if you're just about to leave somewhere, you're probably going to run into the snow. Now, if you say you live all the way towards Mount Clemens, if you were to leave to work for now, you probably honestly just fine. If you weren't planning on leaving for work until closer to 9 o'clock or 8:30, trying to get in by 9, you might run into some snow by that point. But right now, we are looking at the snow mainly just arriving along US 23. So if you're heading out towards Ann Arbor at this moment, no snow, but just to the west, Dexter, the snow's arriving, Chelsea, Manchester, starting to see some snow. And even as we go through pretty much all of Lenawee County, at least looking at light snow. Now, the snow isn't going to be heavy by any means, but we could get some good bursts of some steadier snow. So like back towards Lansing, where again visibility is down to less than a mile, that's where we have the darker blue or the heavier snow at this moment. But still, they're going to walk away with a total around an inch in all. This right now, the band, we can even measure how wide this band of snow is. It's about 60 miles. Kind of give or take there, just giving a nice round number, but it is about 60 miles. So it's not a lot in the grand scheme of things. We can have snow, last for hours and hours and hours as a big system rolls through. This is a fairly narrow band of snow. I don't know if narrow is the right word to say, but it's a smaller band than what we could see of some snow. All right, I'm gonna look at some questions here. So if you'll see me, I'm just looking at, let's see. Okay, good morning. Getting ready to drive to Toledo. Tell everyone to put their phones down. Yeah, good idea, Scott. Yes, put your phone down. So if you're just about to drive to Toledo, also be ready for the snow to pick up. It does look like we've got some light snow just arriving into Toledo. So if you're leaving now, you won't get there for an hour. The snow will likely pick up as you continue through your commute. All right. Can I delete some things? Oh, yeah. Okay, so Kat, who's in Michigan, said it came through and you got about an inch. So great. It looks like the forecast is panning out. It's always a great thing to see. Again, with the forecast expected to be about an inch, and for you to get about an inch, it's good to see that you got that. All right, let's see. We've got Tim joining. There's snow coming tonight. I heard maybe many inches. Yes, Tim, you are already alluding ahead to our next storm system that yes, we'll be here tonight. And yes, you could be looking at a couple inches. I will say about this tonight's storm system, which I will get into detail, it is going to be dependent on where you live, on how much you see. Some of us are going to look at likely quite a few inches. Others may not get much at all, at least by the time you wake up, because we are going to be looking at a changeover from snow to some rain showers. So I'll get to that in just a second, Tim. Let's see. Also, let's see. Already got the first question about a snow day. Actually, first question on here. I already had a teacher reach out to me on yesterday about potential for a snow day tomorrow. It's honestly probably going to be dependent on where you live, and then also district dependent. We don't call the snow days, and even if we say, hey, you're going to get 2 inches, that's it, the district may call it off. It's up to them. They're not the ones, they don't consult us, we don't consult with them. And so sometimes districts will call it off and we're like, it really wasn't gonna be that bad. And then parents get mad that, it was only 2 inches and You called off school. Well, it wasn't us. Okay. Anyways, let's talk about this snow real quick, and then I will look ahead towards the snow that's coming in tonight and into tomorrow. So we do have this band, again, that is arriving this morning. It is going to move quickly across the area. I'll zoom out. You'll be able to see it here. It actually goes all the way up towards the UP and even into Canada. So this snow is going to move through. It's going to move rather quickly from west to east. So you can see as we progress throughout the morning, this is closer to 8 o'clock. So about a half hour from now, we're past US 23, starting to arrive more into western Oakland County, almost to Wayne County, western Monroe County as well. We continue to see the snow move through, lighter snow starting to pick up around 9 a.m. in the city of Detroit, and then eventually we'll see that push all the way over to the east Port Huron. You'll be one of the last places, of course, to see the snow start as it starts from west to east. But the snow starts to wrap up also around about 10 o'clock the farther west that you live. For those that live farther to the east, the snow is not really going to wrap up until you get closer to about the lunch hour, and then maybe a little bit after that. The longest lasting snow showers will be to the north of Port St. Lucie, up towards the tip of the thumb. So that's what we're looking at. Again, quick look at snowfall totals with just this first round of some snow. The medium number will be 1 inch. Farther south that you live, it's probably going to be more so a ½ inch to 1 inch. And then where we've got that 1 to 2 range, it's probably going to be more so 1 inch to 1.5 inches. It just looks weird to put a ½ inch here or that. But again, around about 1 inch. It's not a lot, but it is enough to create some slippery driving conditions out there. So keep that in mind. I know a lot of people, including myself normally, head to work right around about 8:30 to try to get in by 9 a.m. So if you are traveling, I think that's actually probably when we'll have some of the worst driving conditions across the area. If you could leave now in an ideal world, it'd be great to leave right now to get to work and avoid all that. But I know you might have kids like myself. It just doesn't work that way. They've got to get to school and then you get to go to work. So if that's the case for you, just be prepared for slower driving conditions across the area, and then also some slippery driving conditions on any untreated surface. All right. I'm going to jump ahead. We'll get back to this. I'm actually probably going to be here most of the morning too, so feel free to continue to keep this on and stay posted with the weather and what you can expect. But I want to take a look at the system that's coming into the area tonight. So this is actually jumping ahead. I'm starting it at about 9 o'clock tonight. So snow just arriving in from the west. So this is another clipper system, but it just has a little more oomph to it. It is going to move fast, but it does have a little bit more support. So it is going to bring us a bit more moisture across the area. All right, so this system comes through. We are looking at snow arriving across the area. It's almost all across southeast Michigan by about midnight tonight. Then we are going to continue to see some snow across the entire area until we get close to about, we'll stop at around 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. And the reason I want to stop it there is because this is what we're talking about that will potentially impact the amount of snow you see. We are going to be looking at a warm front lifting potentially through at least half of the area. So north, we're looking at snow, but as warmer air arrives, the southern half could be looking at rain. And the question is, where is that going to line up? It is quite a bit of, there is still quite a bit of variability in what we're going to see, or uncertainty if that line, sets up between snow north and rain south closer to, say, I-94. That's the farthest extent of the warm air. Or if we get that push all the way to, say, M59. In the grand scheme of things, that's not a big range of difference, but it is a big range of difference when you're talking about the number of people that will be impacted, if people will be staying in just snow, or they'll see snow and then the changeover to rain by the time you get to 5 a.m. So right now, I can say the better chance that you have to see the changeover will be if you live farther to the south. All snow, though, mainly to the north. So this is why, again, we're talking about the potential, for a couple inches or maybe nothing at all. As we get through, we'll stop at this time tomorrow. This is about 7 a.m. tomorrow, so you can see that line trying to push even farther to the north. And then as we get closer to about the end of the commute, 9, 10 a.m., you can still see there's that divide. Snow north, rain south, but then eventually we do have the colder air come through. That's actually the cold front with this system, and then we do switch all to snow. It will be much lighter throughout the day into Wednesday afternoon, and then lake effect is going to try to trigger on as we get into your Thursday behind this system. So again, I'll pan through this system. We'll go back all the way until 9 o'clock on Tuesday. Tonight, we will be looking at the snow increasing across the area. By the time we get to about midnight tonight, we're all looking looking at widespread snow by the time we fast forward all the way to 5 a.m. We are looking at snow mainly north, but starting to see the changeover in Lenawee and Monroe County. So if you are an early morning commuter, you may have that changeover already farther to the south. Then as we get closer to about 8 o'clock, we'll stop at kind of mid-commute, looking at a bigger divide here, snow north, rain south. That rain-snow line may be all the way up towards M59. So keep that in mind, that you may see rain tomorrow morning. And then as we get towards the end of the commute, and then I'll stop around the lunch hour, that's when we start to have the colder air come in, and we'll switch back over to some snow. Now, I will say the model that you're seeing here is the graph model. So this is one of many models that exist. Most have the same idea. And so I do agree, we are going to have some warmer temperatures coming into tonight. There is a good chance that we are going to see, again, that warm air pushing up enough that we'll see changeover from snow to rain. But again, it's a little bit, there's some variability of where that line is going to be. Latest snowfall, I haven't switched anything. This is for tonight and into tomorrow. This will likely be adjusted as we do get a little bit closer to the event, but it does indicate where we are likely to have more of that changeover, or at least more hours of rain rather than snow. Totals may be impacted quite a bit, more like 1 to 2 inches of some snow expected overall tonight and into tomorrow. Then farther to the north, that's where we could see 2 to 3, but there is likely going to be a spot that sees about 3 to 5 inches of snow. So you can see here, we have this area including Lapeer, down through Pontiac and Howell. I want to preference again, this is for tonight and into tomorrow. It does not include the snow that is just arriving right now. The snow arriving right now is going to be anywhere from about a ½ inch to up to 2 inches. So you kind of add all the numbers together. That's what you'll be looking at by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. So timing wise, if I was the school district, timing wise, you're thinking, okay, this snow is going to fall mainly overnight, and it's going to still be here as we get into the morning. And so that could impact buses. That's usually one of the biggest reasons why school districts are closed, because of bus conditions. Can buses make it out wherever they need to go with the snowy driving conditions? But also with that said, the snowfall totals don't necessarily support school closures. I will say it's not guaranteed that a lot of schools will be closed. For example, say you live in Port Huron and you're looking at 2 to 3 inches of snow. Well, that's still pretty manageable. And road crews, if they're out and about, which they will be out and about tonight, could get conditions on the roads, really good by the time we get into the morning commute. So on the municipality that you live in, and also the school district. The farther north that you have a better chance to potentially be closed tomorrow. Farther south, a lesser of a chance, but still, it's the district's call, and this is what we're kind of looking at in terms of forecast. I can never guarantee a snow day, and even if I disagree, sometimes they still happen. But let's get back to today's snow. I don't think we're having a snow day today. It's going to be too light overall. This is more of just kind of that, I don't know I need to come up with a better term for this snow, because it's snow that is like annoying because it creates some slippery driving conditions. It's like just enough, and with the temperatures, if they stay cold, that you do have to shovel, but it doesn't do much else. You can't build a snowman out of 1 inch of snow. You can't I don't know, it's not getting the snowblower out even with just a small amount. So that's what we're looking at with this snow. Let's see. I'm going to go look back over here. I'm looking, if you're looking this way, I'm looking at people that are commenting on what we've got going on. Let's see. Good morning, Linda. Great to see you this morning. Ice storms. Okay, Chanel, actually great question here. For us here in Southeast Michigan, our best chance to actually potentially see some sleet mixed in would be this morning. We're not seeing that at this moment, because what's coming through right now is a warm front. And to usually have freezing rain or sleet, you need to have warm air that goes over cold air. The thicker that warm air, the better chance to have freezing rain. The thinner, the better chance to have sleet. Reason being is everything up in the cloud is usually ice crystals, right? It's ice, and it runs through a thin layer of air. We'll see some partial melting, and then when it runs back into the cold air, which is at the surface, then it'll likely refreeze. It could lead to sleet. If you have a thicker air that's warm and then maybe a little bit thinner at the surface, that ice crystal is going through that thicker air, it'll melt completely. And then so by the time it goes through that smaller warm air, or excuse me, smaller cold air at the surface, it doesn't have enough time to refreeze until it touches a surface that's at or below freezing. So we would have a chance for that today. I don't expect it to be much, if anything at all. Right now, radar not indicating that we're seeing any of that, which is some good news. Tomorrow, I also don't expect it, because we're going to see kind of something different than what we normally see in terms of our temperatures. So our temperatures tonight, and actually the rest of the day today, our temperatures are going to be climbing close to the freezing mark by this evening. Usually by the time we get to 4 o'clock, we start to drop down a bit. I don't expect that really. We're kind of going to hold near freezing through most of this evening. And then overnight tonight, we're probably going to hold around freezing. It might be about 30, 31, 32, or 33 degrees. Again, the freezing mark is 32 degrees when water freezes. So when we're holding around that, that means the temperature, of course, at the surface is close to freezing. So when we initially have precipitation coming in along the warm front again tonight, we will likely still see some snow, because the entire column of air, or at least the majority of it, will still be at or below freezing. But then as we progress throughout the morning, the places that see the warm air, this won't just be aloft, it'll also be warmer air coming in at the surface. So then you're making the entire column of air above freezing, which would lead to just rain. So thankfully, I don't think we're going to see much of that mixture of potentially sleet and freezing rain. Of course, we can see, a couple of drops get mixed in, but for the most part, I think we're going to see more of a clear cut between snow and rain, just because we're going to have that column of air either be a majority of it all cold, or once we get warm air, that warm air is going to be all the way down to the surface. So we'll continue to see melting going on. Hopefully that answers your question there. I don't know if you're hoping for all of that, kind of talking about it. Precipitation is definitely difficult. Winter precipitation is what's so difficult, because you have to think about the atmosphere. It's not just, looking down at it. The atmosphere is vertical, right? So you can have layers that are cold, layers that are warm, all within even, 5 miles above the surface, which sounds, oh my God, I couldn't run 5 miles. But in the grand scheme of weather, that's not very much. So hopefully that kind of helps. Let's see. Tim. Let's see. 4 trucks in southern Monroe County. Didn't see coming through. It was all rain tonight. Yeah, Monroe. I will say, Tim, for you in Monroe, tonight, this upcoming night, you'll definitely see some snow. But I think Monroe County and Lenawee County tonight have a good chance to switch to rain, and that would really lower snowfall totals, obviously. But let's talk about the snow that's coming in right now. Again, we are looking at lighter snow at this moment. To break down radar here, the white color, that's mainly light snow. The blue color, that's the heavier snow. So we are, of course, seeing some lighter snow. We're going to head south. Sorry about my terrible zooming in. We're looking at light snow in through Monroe right now, off towards Luna Pier. Dundee, of course, starting to see snow. Tecumseh, Adrian, Blissfield, Seneca, all looking at lighter snow at this moment. But farther off to the west, that's where we are looking at that final kind of push. So Jackson at this moment, looking at a steadier band of some snow, and then that stretches all the way up towards Williamston, and then eventually it's going to arrive farther to the east. But for more counties in Livingston County, or I should say cities in Livingston County, Howell, Pinckney, looking at lighter snow at this moment. It's just arriving here on US 23. I know US 23 is a pretty big route for traveling between Flint and maybe even more up north, and then down towards Ann Arbor. So if this is your route, US 23, it's currently 740, almost 740, 737. That is going to be have conditions that will be deteriorating within the next 20 minutes. So if you leave right now, just be prepared. Allow the extra time. Allow time to stay slow. Also, if you leave in this area and you do travel through this area and you do have some availability to kind of push things back, it might actually be better for you to leave later today. If you could leave closer to 9 and you take US 23, conditions might be better. Crews may be out there at the point. I want to take a quick look at visibility, because we were talking about this. So Lansing again and Jackson, where they're just starting to see that steadier snow arrive, visibility has been reduced now to less than a mile. We're seeing the same thing through Adrian. Howell also down to less than 2 miles. I do expect that to continue to go down as we move into this morning, and we continue to see the snow move from west to east. So again, the snow, it's not going to be a lot this morning. It is going to be just enough to create some slippery driving conditions, also reducing visibility. So we are getting close to sunrise. I'm trying to look out the windows. They're far from me here in the weather center. So just keep your lights on, even if your car doesn't like to have its lights on. It's all sensitive usually by light. Sometimes it can pick up precipitation and it'll turn its lights on, but just remember, keep your lights on. I know it sounds so simple. Make sure they're on. It's not necessarily for your safety, for your viewing. It's so also that other people can see you as a car. You'll have less people hopefully pull out in front of you or something like that if they can see you in the morning. But again, looking at the snow kind of picking up, it's still fairly light across the majority of the region. Where we have the darker blues, again, that's where we're looking at the steadier band. Overall snowfall with this band that's coming through this morning will be about an inch. Lighter amounts south, more amounts north, but still looking at where you have less than a half an inch. This will be where we'll pick up likely, less than an inch. I just gave it away. We're going to look at likely a half an inch to up to an inch, and then in that 1 to 2 range, I do expect a majority of us to be about 1 to 1.5 inches. Just a couple spots will get closer to that 2 inches. And again, this is just for this morning, all the way through midday. This is not including what is coming in tonight and into tomorrow. So we have broken them down. They are 2 separate storms. So this is the first storm, and then the second one is what's going to bring us other totals. So there is going to be a window of, breathing room in between, a time where you don't have to worry necessarily. Thankfully, it's going to work out for the evening commute today. We'll be just fine with that. All right, I'm just going to ask some questions or answer some questions over here. Tammy asking, how does the weekend look? Cold. That's like the best word to describe it. There is a chance more for some snow Saturday into Sunday. It's also looking to be like a dusting. I will say the extended forecast overall, none of these storms except potentially the one tonight and into tomorrow look to bring much snow. Thursday and Friday snow chances will be lake effect, so we know how that goes. It's pretty hit or miss. If you do get a band, you might get another dusting. If you don't, you don't get anything, and it's hard to get bands to go all the way across the state for us, so by the time they get here they don't dump a ton, but that's what we're looking at Thursday and Friday. And then as we get into Saturday, there is going to be one system that'll bring us a little bit, but it is going to be cold. Tammy, we're talking highs probably near 20. I don't know if some places will even make it to 20. It might be more like 18. And then our overnight lows will be at least near 10. A lot of us will be in the single digits as we're waking up, especially Sunday morning. So this weekend, cold. Thankfully, we have slightly warmer temperatures expected today and tomorrow. And I say that because mid-30s will be our warm temperatures today. That's still actually below average. And then tomorrow, we're going to try to make it to 40. I do expect a lot of us to stop, though, at about 37, 38, or 39 degrees. And it's going to be for one day only. And then it gets colder again. We drop with highs mainly in the upper 20s on Thursday, low to mid 20s on Friday, and then again close to 20 this upcoming weekend. So thank you for asking about that, Tammy, too. Yeah, ask me your questions. You can even ask about extended forecasts. I know a lot of people, I'm already hearing murmurs, because we have the snow now, is it going to be a white Christmas? Because we want to, we want that. And I can answer those questions. You can ask them below if we are going to see something like that. All right, let me ask some other questions we've got. In California, Diane is heading home for Christmas from Oakland, California. Not ready for the cold. Well, it'll be here. I know it is going to be quite chilly. Okay. Jennifer is ready for spring. I'm ready for the longer days. I would agree. Spring here, in Michigan can be quite rough. We could have a wintry spring, or we can have a springy spring or a summery spring. So we'll see what we get this year. Again, it's a weak La Nina year, which we have a variability of weather in La Nina, but usually La Nina for us means that more storms go across the area, and depending on our temperatures, that could mean more snow, that could be more rain than average. But as of right now, we're starting off with a lot of cold air, and we've had a series of storms that have been coming on through, dropping a little bit of snow, dropping a little bit of snow, dropping a little bit of snow. So right now, it's really shaping up to be kind of almost a stereotypical La Nina year for us. We'll see if it holds, and this pattern kind of holds through the next couple of months. It does look like we're kind of going to see this pattern likely through the end of the year, the rest of this month. So looking at more snow showers expected. potentially all the way through Christmas. Right now, I don't see a big warm up coming or like an extended warm up coming in our future. So it could work. I was telling people, and again, feel free to have your questions. I'll continue to get back to some of the snow. I was just telling people too, wouldn't it be ideal if we had snow through the end of January? That was our winter. Then February, that's when it turns to like a real spring. Like spring, not the spring where, oh my gosh, it's still cold, it's gloomy, blah, blah, blah. But then we were spring from February on. That would be nice, right? It kind of, I don't know. I think it would, because then we do really get the winter here. We still get it. It's great. And let's say spring is in the southern half of the state. So all the snow stays everywhere else, and the ski resorts and snowmobilers can have fun still. It's just a short drive away, but the rest of us are looking at a little break. I don't know. One can dream. Okay. Sweeping radar here. Sorry, I'll take off this green, switch it to the snow colors here, just so it's easier to see. Again, we are looking at cold enough temperatures. All right, let's get an update on what we are looking at. So lighter snow is arriving through Monroe County at this moment. Western Lenawee County starting to see that steadier band pushing in as we speak. It's now just moving to the east of Jackson. So if your commute today takes you along I-94 working west across the state, be prepared for snow. You're now going to hit that light snow in Ann Arbor, and it's only going to pick up as you move farther to the west. And then also for those of you that take I-96, you are going to hit that light snow in Brighton now, and even a little bit earlier than that towards Kensington Park and then Milford area, starting to see some of the snow. Novi as well. The farther west that you go, you're going to hit that steadier snow. Now as you get closer to, let's say, Fowlerville area at this moment, and then by the time you get to Lansing, it should finally taper off. So that's some good news there. Again, also north, for those of you that live farther to the east up north, it's going to take some time before the snow arrives. We're just about getting close to 8 a.m. You'll probably start to see some lighter snow around 9, but then really not see it pick up until closer to 9:30. So you may be able to make it to work, especially if you can leave now. Pretty much Detroit north towards Pontiac and then over towards Port Huron. If your commute doesn't take you west, now would be a great time to leave for work if you can do it. I know a lot of us are limited. We haven't had the chance to get ready. We have kids we're waiting to get to school first. So my best advice for this morning is honestly just prepare for slower driving conditions. Take it slower out there as well. I know there are road crews out there that are prepping the road, ready to salt, but they can't be everywhere at once. So it's not going to be a quick, easy fix to get where you need to go. All right, we're also looking at reduced visibility with this snow. I want to take a look real quick at where we're at. Oh, sorry, quick update on visibility. So Lansing still less than a half mile, same thing in Jackson. Adrian now looking at visibility down to about a mile. Howell still at about 2 miles. Everyone else looking at good visibility at this moment, but we are going to be looking at, again, changes as that snow line comes through. Visibility will be reduced. I want to take a quick look at temperatures. If you were concerned about what type of precipitation we'll see today. With the cold enough temperatures, we are likely going to see, again, continue to see the snow arrive. There is the potential on the backside of this, because this is a warm front, that the layer of warm air in the atmosphere may be thick enough that we see more so sleet. So the snowflake that's falling will fall through that warm air, melts a little bit, and then still kind of hold its structure as a snowflake, but it's partially melted snowflake, and then fall as sleet. Or we might have a thin layer of warm air so it melts and then it refreezes as it goes back down before it hits the ground, also sleet. So just saying that. Could also see some grapple too. That's always a fun one. I always like grapple. Grapple is a partially melted snowflake or super cooled water droplets. So droplets of water that are below freezing attach onto a snowflake and then it falls to the ground. So it looks like little ice pellets, almost more like hail, but it's not hail. It forms differently, and they're white. So you can crush them. They're like ice, but they're little white ice pellets. That's why they're different than sleet. Sleet is usually clear because we've had that melting of the snowflake. Anyways, sorry. I can go on and on about precipitation, but it is cold this morning. It's also breezy this morning. Yes, this is the other downside of this system. Winds have picked up, so it is feeling more like single digits across the majority of the region. So as you step out the door, please bundle up, get your kids bundled up as they wait for the bus stop. It is cold outside this morning. before the snow is moving through. It's feeling like 5 or 6 degrees. We are looking at the snow again picking up. We're going to see this move through the region within about 3 more hours. The snow will be almost all the way through the entire area, and then we'll get to calmer conditions as we get later into this afternoon. This is all part of a warm front that's going to quickly move through, part of a clipper system. Best way to think about it is anytime we talk about a clipper here or an Alberta clipper means it originated in Alberta, Canada. That's where the lows started. These are usually fast moving for us. They don't linger long. They dump some snow and then they're gone. So that's what we're looking at with this system. It's going to be quick in the overall grand scheme of things, and then it's going to be gone. This again is a clipper. It has a warm front with it, which is moving through, impacting the entire state right now, all along I-75 up towards almost Mackinac City at this moment is where we're starting to see the snow again push through. This snow is going to move across the region over the next few hours. This model, I will say, is doing pretty good on even timing. So this is 8 o'clock. We are getting very close to that, and this is about where the snow line is. By 9 o'clock, we'll start to see almost the entire area looking at snow showers out there, while farther off to the west at this time too, to note, looking at the snow ending, we'll start to see it let up in Jackson around this time. Again, this is about an hour from now. And then as we get closer to about 10 o'clock, we'll start to see some of the steadier snow pushing into Port Huron. Mount Clemens at this point, you've already had a couple, maybe 30 minutes of some snow, but then back farther to the west, we are looking at the snow ending. So by about 10 o'clock along US 23, that's where we'll finally see the snow kind of end. But then we get towards 11 o'clock, still holding on to the snow to the east. By the lunch hour and 1 o'clock, we're almost all done. We'll just see some remaining snow showers off farther to the north. So again, this will continue to move off to the east. I'll have a quick look again at our snowfall totals. This is just for this morning's snow, and I keep clarifying it because we've got this system coming through now. We do have another storm on the way tonight and into tomorrow that, if you've heard some mumblings, there's a good chance that it will bring us more snow and a couple inches of snow in a few spots. Before, I just want to take a look over here to look at some comments. This is where I can see them. You can put your comments below and I'll try to get to what I can about our comments. Let's see. Could we see a lot of... Kendall saying, could we see a lot of ice storms in Michigan this year? As of right now, no. Ice storms for us are not as common up here, just because we do usually get the cold air based on the track of the systems. Those tend to be more common, more so in the Ohio River Valley. So Ohio down towards Kentucky and Tennessee, and then even farther to the south. Those places have a lot more influence from the Gulf of Mexico. So even throughout the winter months, so they can have some warmer temperatures too. And then also, as a storm system's moving through, there might be more influence of a warm front at the mid-levels if the surface is below freezing. So there's a better chance for ice storms farther to the south. So thankfully here we just usually don't get the dynamics at play for ice storms. Definitely is not out of the question. We could have that, but doesn't mean that we will see a lot of them, which is good, because honestly, ice storms, I've been through a few out in Oregon. Ice storms are almost worse than snowstorms, honestly, because you can't like shovel ice as much. It's harder to do that, and it just creates some slippery conditions. Ice is heavy, it takes down tree limbs anyway, so all of that. But before I continue to take a look at our current scenario, let's take a look at the system on the way tonight. So we were talking about that again. This is coming in tonight. It'll start to bring us some snow mainly after 9 o'clock. A majority of us actually won't even get snow until even later than that, but it'll at least arrive around about 9 p.m. And then by the time you get to midnight, that's when we're looking at more snow across almost the entire region here in southeast Michigan. We will be looking at snow in the overnight hours, but by the time we get all the way, I'll stop at about 5 o'clock for the very early morning commute tomorrow. This is when we are going to be looking at a changeover to rain, especially through Monroe and Lenawee counties. So this system, the snow is originally triggered by a warm front. So you think about it, a warm front brings warmer air. So it is eventually going to bring us warm enough air that we will see a changeover to some rain. Now this is 5 a.m. I'll fast forward it throughout the morning commute. We'll stop around about 8 a.m. You can see here even a better defined line, snow north, rain south. The uncertainty which lies in this forecast is where that defined line is going to be. Are we going to have it set up here, which puts it around about M59, or would it be closer to I-96? or closer to I-94, kind of those horizontal highway lines that go across the area, because that's really going to determine, of course, who sees the snow and who sees snow then rain. And the changeover happens in the morning commute, which of course leads to even more dicey conditions. Then as we continue throughout the morning, I'll stop at around about the lunch hour, we get a push of a cold front that'll bring the cold air, and then everyone will start to change back to snow. Some of us by late morning, others though will have to wait to the afternoon, and then cold air filters in and we'll see lake effect snow trigger on. So the best advice I can give about tonight's snow and into tomorrow, the farther north that you live, the better chance that you have to see all snow with the next event. The farther south, the better chance to see change over to rain, even if it was for 2 hours or potentially 6 hours. So there is going to be a lot more variability in snowfall totals the farther south that you live with the next system. This is the snow outlook, not for this morning. This is for tonight and into tomorrow. Heavier snow north, lighter snow south. I do expect this to kind of change a little bit as we get a better idea, and the models also have a better idea of the conditions that will be in place. So once we get this through this system, models take information, air temperature, pressure, moisture in the air. They take that and they compute it. And there's models that run throughout the day. So once this system comes through, we're going to be left with an environment, and models are going to be able to get new information, and we might have a better outlook of what tonight and into tomorrow's storm will be like. So right now though, definitely more snow north, lighter snow to the south. But even if you only get an inch or two of snow overnight tonight and then maybe switch to rain in the morning, that still can create some slippery driving conditions. We're seeing it already this morning. We've had it with the last couple of systems. It does not take much to create poor driving conditions, terrible travel across the area, and that's what we're looking at, one of our biggest concerns for for this morning, as well as even tomorrow morning. I want to get back to what we got currently going on here, just to give an update. If you are just about to head out the door, we're coming up on the 8 o'clock hour. We are looking at snow arriving. Now, all of US 23 looking at snow. We're just starting to see some lighter flurries, at least towards the airport. That is going to pick up. For those of you who travel 275, you got about another, I don't know, 10, do the math real quick, probably another 10, 15 minutes, through about 8:15 that you probably won't see flurries, but they will be picking up here along 275. Of course, farther to the south, you are starting to see some lighter flurries. Farther here, though, Southfield Freeway in towards the city of Detroit, still looking good. No snow at this moment. Also, all of Macomb County, as well as farther to the north, not seeing the snow just yet, but we are seeing that farther to the west. So US 23, snow is picking up. Our heaviest band is right here. You can see that dark blue that indicates a heavier band of snow, and once that comes through, it does look like visibility is reduced to less than a mile. So we are going to see that arrive in Howell within about the next 15 minutes, and then we're going to continue to see that push farther off to the east. So that's the band that'll probably dump about a ½ inch. Again, not much, but still enough to create some slippery driving conditions and reduce visibility. So if you kind of time this out as this moves on through, again, right now it's 8 o'clock. It's about, the band is right here in this region. By the time you get to 9 o'clock, it's probably going to be along 275 and maybe up towards Pontiac. So maybe even a little bit farther off to the east. So the band will probably be in this region. And if you travel, if you drive to work, that is going to be hitting some of our major corridors of travel. So we are likely going to have some poor driving conditions within the end of the 8 o'clock hour, getting closer to 9, when the roads are already usually really busy at that point, as many are trying to get to work by 9 o'clock, myself included normally. And if you're like me, I have kids, so I usually have to wait to get to my kids to school first, and then I can leave. And so if that's you as well, and it's inevitable that you're going to run into the snow, just be prepared for poor driving conditions. All right, any questions? Does anyone have? Let's see, Brian saying that, saying different models show warm air entering early. Are the models in agreement? And this is talking about tonight and into tomorrow's storm. I will say there is the general agreement of the models is that we are going to see warm air arrive at some point into the south. So heavier snowfall totals north, lighter to the south with the next storm system. But they are not in agreement on when we'll see the warmth and also where that line is going to be. So General rule as of right now, again, or just general idea of what to go on: snow, and especially if you live north of M59, you're probably going to see all snow with this event as we get into tonight and tomorrow. Farther to the south of M59, that's where it gets questionable. But if you live, say, between I-96 and M59, you have a good chance to see many more hours of some snow, but are likely going to have a changeover in the later morning hours to some rain before you switch back to snow. And then down south of I-96 or south of even I-94, you're likely going to have more hours of changeover to rain. And that would really impact the totals. And I do think our forecasted snowfall totals as of now reflect that. Again, for tomorrow's system, likely a couple inches to the north, and then likely 1 to 2 inches farther to the south. So we are going to see a wide range of snowfall totals coming in tomorrow. Let's see. Kendall, who lives in northern Oakland County. So if you also live in northern Oakland County tomorrow, good chance for you to see about 3 to 5 inches of snow tomorrow morning. That does not include the inch to an inch and a half of snow that you're probably going to see within the next 3 hours, what's coming through right now. So northern Oakland County, for the next 3 hours, you'll pick up an inch to an inch and a half. Again, not a ton, but enough that you might have to shovel or have slippery driving conditions. Tonight, northern Oakland County, you have a good chance to see 3 to 5 inches of snow into tomorrow morning. You may have a little bit of a changeover to rain as you get closer to 5 a.m. tomorrow, but you're one of the spots that has a good chance of just keeping it all snow with the next system. Also, if you're wondering, if you're like me and you're like, gosh, another half an inch of snow, do I have to shovel? I hate to give my lazy advice, but our temperatures later today are going to be above freezing. There is a chance that Mother Nature will melt that half an inch, but be mindful of your neighbors too. If you have neighbors that walk a lot, it is great to shovel the sidewalk as well, just to help them out too. A lot of people, walk and need to walk to where they need to go. Also, your mailman, mail person, they need to have safe driving or travel conditions driving, or if they walk up to your door, just make sure that your sidewalk and up your front steps are also easily walkable, just because you don't want them to slip either. I always think about that. But the lazy person may be like, okay, well, I don't have to shovel this part of my driveway because no one's going to walk there. It's just going to be me driving on it. It'll melt by the time I get home. So just throwing it out there, not advising to be lazy. Anyways, all right. Lydia asking, is Ohio in this? Well, you're on part of our map, just mainly covering Michigan here. Obviously, we're mainly focused here in Southeast Michigan, but you will be looking at a better chance for rain down in Ohio. Some snow tonight and into the early morning hours of tomorrow, but a better changeover to rain initially. It, of course, depends on where you live in Ohio. The closer you live to Toledo, a better chance to see snow a little longer, but Toledo, we can lump you in with Monroe and Lenawee County, so we will likely change over to some rain. Looking right now, I want to give an update on this system, the line that is moving through. Again, this is a warm front with a clipper system. It is fast moving. We are looking at light snow now through almost all of Monroe County. Eventually, we'll start to see more of that light snow arrive and downriver. Lighter snow, maybe some flurries around the I-94, 275 interchange, and we'll start to see that also pick up farther to the north. Ann Arbor, snow is going to be starting to pick up more, so M14 out towards Ann Arbor, 94 out towards Ann Arbor, US 23, all looking at snow at this moment. So if you take those highways on your commute, you are going to be running into snow because it is snowing as we speak. We are looking at steadier snow now, just arriving in Adrian. Again, we've got this darker blue band. This is where we're getting that stronger push of moisture and heavier snow. It's not a ton, but it is going to drop visibility as it moves on through. And again, we're seeing that stretching now all the way to the north, just to the west of Pinckney and Howell, just to the east of Owasso. But we'll see that move along US 23 probably within about a half hour. So if your route takes you along US 23 closer to 8:30, you are going to be running in that, or maybe you head out the door if you live in Brighton or Highland or Fenton, even Ann Arbor. If you leave around 8:30, that is going to be probably the steadiest snow for you if you take US 23. Farther to the east, it's going to take some time. You might be thinking, hey, I'm not seeing any snow right now. Well, you aren't seeing any snow right now. It's just a matter of time. This snow is moving from west to east, so it's going to continue to move through. As you can tell, this is a 1-hour loop. It is moving pretty quickly, and it is going to quickly move through and then quickly move out. Most of us will be done with the snow by about 11 a.m. this morning. That is 3 hours from now. But for locations that are seeing the steadiest snow right now, so especially Livingston, Washtenaw, and Lenawee counties, you're going to be done with the snow probably in less than 2 hours. So again, this is just a fast moving clipper, and it is bringing us a little bit of snow. Snowfall totals not expected to be a lot this morning. It's just going to be enough to create some slippery driving conditions. All right, I want to give a quick update on visibility because Lansing and Jackson just about 20 minutes ago had visibility less than a mile, but you can see now that the steadier snow has passed, visibility is improving. We're getting back up to 2 miles, 2.5 miles in Jackson, where we've got the steadier snow just now. Adrian, visibility less than a mile. Howell, Ann Arbor, seeing visibility getting down to about a mile, and same thing in Flint. You can see everyone else that has not seen the snow just yet, visibility 9 to 10 miles plus. So that is going to change as the snow moves on through. Keep your lights on now that we are getting past sunrise. In these driving conditions, it's not necessarily for your ability to see, it's also for others to see you in these situations. So that's always a good reminder here with these systems. I know a lot of us have automatic lights. Sometimes if it's bright enough outside, the lights actually won't turn on. If you also, though, again, have to still turn your lights on, make sure you turn them on and turn them off whenever you get to where you need to go. Again, we're looking at this band of snow coming through this morning. This is part of a warm front with a clipper system sliding through. And the reason that I'm mentioning that it's a warm front is that there is the potential, especially on the backside here, if we do have warm enough air through a portion of the column, we may actually get some sleet. So that'll be, more of the clear ice that falls. You might hear more of a pinging sound. So that's what we could see mixing in with the snowflakes. Very indicative of a warm front. This front extends all the way to the north. If you're hoping to go up north today, they're looking at some snow there. I do have some good news though for ski resorts up there, and if you're snowmobiling, they so far have a good snowpack of about a foot in a lot of places. My gosh. And they are going to see more snow as we get into tonight. Of course, they're seeing a little bit more snow today. So that's some good news. We always love to see it for our outdoor activities here in Michigan. All right, let's stop it. We are looking at the snow arriving. This is about 8 o'clock. Good here on the model, 9 o'clock, looking at that front edge, moving just into Macomb County, almost impacting all of Wayne County. Still waiting for the snow farther off to the east by this point, but we will be looking at the snow continuing to move, including the city of Detroit, by about 9 a.m. So within the next hour, you will be looking at the snow arriving. 10 a.m. snow pushes in towards Port Huron, Port Sanilac, but also at this time we start to see the snow end back farther off to the west. So by 10 a.m. US 23, we're done with the snow falling, but of course still be prepared for some slippery conditions as road crews would be out there likely salting, maybe even using the snow plow. It's just going to be a light amount of snow, so we'll see what they choose to do. 11 a.m. the bulk of the moisture is almost all the way through, still rather steady probably in Port Huron, but we will look at still a few remaining showers behind this system, a little bit more snow lingering even into the afternoon, but most of us are going to be dry through this afternoon, and we wait for what's to arrive tonight. A quick look at expected snowfall. Again, to point out, this is just this morning's snow. We'll see about on average about an inch. Farther to the south, it's likely to be more so a ½ inch to an inch, and then where we've got that 1 to 2 inch range, it's probably going to be more so about an inch to an inch and a half, with a few pockets up to 2 inches. I don't expect a widespread 2 inches across the area this morning with the system. All right, I'm going to get back to see if anyone has some questions. Feel free to keep them coming in and ask me about what we've got going on. Let's see. Joel asked me a great question. Is this continuous snow a little today, a little tomorrow for Detroit? Well, it's more so a little today. It's not continuous, so it's a little today, a little this morning. Then we get a break for almost this entire afternoon and into the most of this evening. And then as we get later into this evening and tonight is when our next round comes. So we'll even fast forward to this. So this is 9 o'clock tonight. And you can see there's a lot of moisture off to our west at this point. But we're just going to start to see that leading edge of the snow arrive around about 9 o'clock. Snow picks up across the entire region as we get closer. I'm going to backtrack just a bit. Stopping at around midnight. That's where we'll look at snow snow across the entire area. So this is midnight tonight. This is again the second system that is going to come through. And then we fast forward all the way. I'll stop at around about 5 a.m. for the very early morning commuters. This is when we still have snow for a majority of us, but then we also start to see a change over to rain showers farther to the south. So you can see that edge right there of some rain showers, mainly all of Monroe and Lenawee counties, and we'll start to see a change over southern Washtenaw and Wayne counties. And then as we continue throughout the rest of the commute, we'll get closer to about 8 o'clock in the morning. You can see that dividing line pushes even farther to the north. So the farther north that you live, you're still looking at all snow, kind of looking at north of M59. This will likely be an all snow event, though potentially not. Again, this is where the questions kind of lie, and it's really going to be dependent on where your city is, how much snow you see, how much rain you see. Is it going to be an hour of rain? Is it going to be 2 hours of rain? Is it going to be 5 hours of rain? It's really going to vary depending on where you live across the region. Eventually, though, we all switch back to snow. This is a look at about 1 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, where we all switch back to snow showers behind the system as it moves on through. So we are going to be looking at, again, cold air coming through, and then lake effect snow showers are going to be triggered across the area as we get into Wednesday night, but more so into Thursday. So that's what we're looking at. Again, I keep showing this total, and I need a preference. This is for tonight and into tomorrow. This will likely change too as we move throughout the day. We get closer to the event to kind of really fine-tune totals, but as you can see, where we are likely to have that change over to rain for longer, that's where snowfall totals might only be an inch or two. Where it's likely going to be an all snow event, it could be 3 to 5. Again, I do expect this to change based on latest model runs, and then as we get closer to the event, we have a better idea of current conditions leading into the event. But this gives you at least a general idea. The farther north that you live with the next event, better chance to see a couple inches of snow. The farther south that you live, it might only be 1 to 2 inches when all is said and done. Now, this will vary too. If you leave at, say, 3 a.m. tonight, you might have more snow, but then when it transitions to rain, we'll have the snowflakes melting, and then we'll also likely have the rain hampering down the snow. So when you wake up at 7 a.m., it might be a lot different than if you were wake up at 3 a.m. For those of you that live, especially in Monroe County, for example, where you would have had higher snow, but by the time you woke up at 7, it's been hampered down, or the rain has fallen as well. So hopefully that answers some questions. All right, I'm going to put back on the radar for our current snow that is rolling on through. Excuse me. But yeah, so we've got this snow band coming through as we speak. Please let me know if you have any other questions on what you could be expecting this morning. You can see again, snow is moving from west to east. This is a clipper system because clippers originated in Alberta. They were called Alberta clippers. We shorten them for clippers for short because they literally just clip the area and go, right? This is not extending too far to the south, but they're quickly moving on through and leaving. So that's what we're looking at this morning. This snow will pretty much move through. It started at about 7 a.m. for our area. It's going to be out of our area for the most part by 11 a.m. We'll still have some lingering showers off to the north, but looking at a relatively narrow band. It's about 60 miles wide. That's going to move across the region. Now just starting to see some of that snow arrive into Pontiac at this moment. I'm going to pause it here. We're going to zoom into some of our regions. Let me do a better zoom here so we're able to see. Let's travel a little farther to the north. So we're looking at snow now through Fenton, Howell, really starting to see your snow pick up at this moment. You're getting through that final kind of push of the steadier snow. For those of you in Pontiac, likely seeing at least flurries at this moment, but snow is arriving in Commerce, Novi, Farmington Hills, West Bloomfield, looking at the snow picking up. 275 now starting to see more of the lighter snow. The snow will continue to pick up down towards the airport, seeing snow, and then where 275 meets 75, lighter snow arriving. Most of Wayne County, western Wayne County right now, and Monroe County, it's a lighter snow. Ann Arbor's still light, but take a look at that band that's just off to your west. That darker blue indicates some steadier snow. So it stretches up towards Howell, down through Pinckney, Dexter, looking at the snow picking up right now, Bridgewater as well, Tecumseh, down towards Racine as well, and even farther here just to the west of Blissfield, you'll start to see the snow pick up. It's that one final push that is going to reduce visibility this morning. So I'm going to zoom out just a little more more here so you can see that full band in its entirety. But take a look at visibility. Again, remember where we had that band? Visibility down to 1/3 of a mile in Ann Arbor. So if your travel takes you to Ann Arbor this morning, if you're not running into the snow as you step out the door, you're gonna run into poor travel conditions out there. M14, US 23, looking at snow falling as we speak. I-94 as well. Up towards Howell, visibility is down to a mile. Flint, about a half mile. Adrian, less than a mile. So it's that band of snow that's coming through that's really reducing visibility. So keep that in mind. Take it slow out there this morning. Again, it's that band that we've been talking about, this darker blue that indicates some steadier snow that's moving on through the region that is, again, causing reduced visibility and likely bringing a quick about 1/2 inch of snow. It does not create much to create some slippery driving conditions this morning. So be prepared for that. This is not going to be the type of snow that really closes a lot, if anything at all. It's just going to create travel conditions that are far less than ideal across the area. So again, as we zoom in and take a look at what we've got going on, the steadier band, oh no, we don't want any information on that. Let's backtrack to what I just did. I knew when I was drawing that box that that was going to be a failure. Anyways, let's zoom in this way, the nice green box. We do have some steadier snow in through eastern Lenawee County, Tecumseh, down towards Blissfield, and right towards the state line, looking at steadier snow. Everyone else, it's a lighter snow. I'm going to take the visible satellite off so you can see where we've got precipitation. Monroe, looking at some lighter snow at this moment, but it will pick up. Again, as we travel north, the heaviest snow is still just to the west of Ann Arbor along I-94. So if you're going from Ann Arbor off towards Jackson or vice versa, be prepared for some steady snow right in the middle, close to Chelsea, close to Manchester. Farther to the north here, as we go through Oakland and Livingston counties, heavier snow right now through Howell, Pinckney, farther to the north, and then looking at some snow all along US 23 right now. I'm assuming there will be slow driving conditions there, and then you can see even more off to the north. You can also tune into TV 20 if you have that availability too. We always have a quick check of traffic on there. We are there until 9 o'clock this morning, so about the next 45 minutes. But if you're joining me here, again, keep your questions coming in. I can see them. I want to see them. I want to answer your questions. I want to help you through the snow right now or even the snow that's on the way tonight and into tomorrow. Here, the leading edge of the snow, just arriving into Lapeer, North Branch, you're just about seeing the snow as well, though most of Lapeer County, especially eastern part of it, not seeing anything just yet. We might be getting a few flurries in Stanislaus County, likely not though, likely not seeing any of that white up there making it to the ground. St. Clair County still quiet. Macomb County still quiet. We're just starting to see things pick up into Oakland and Wayne counties this morning. Our big travel, what we usually have across the area, I-94, I-96, really big highways that are traveled a lot, 275, looking at the snow arriving now. Southfield Freeway, just barely. I think you're still good for this moment, so if you can get to there or the Lodge, still totally fine. I-94 going north, though, I should preference this. 94 going west towards Ann Arbor, that's where we're not dealing with good conditions, but still from the city of Detroit up towards Port Huron, I-94, still fine. You're still looking at good conditions there. Drinking some coffee this morning, getting us going here on this Tuesday morning. Again, if you're just joining, we're talking about the snow coming through right now. This is a clipper that we have coming through. It's a clipper because it originated in Alberta, and the real name is an Alberta clipper. So we shorten it to a clipper. They clip through really quickly. They usually don't bring us a lot of snow. Also because it's originating in Alberta. Up there, it tends to be drier. So this snow is usually drier. It's usually fluffier. It can make it actually even slipperier if you get just 1/4 of an inch, just because, again, it has a lot of lightness to it. So keep that in mind. Again, with this snow, it is going to bring us a light amount, just enough to make travel pretty poor across the area. All right, just fast forwarding here, got us rolling through. I'm going to switch well, I'll leave that on. But this stretches all the way farther to the north with this line coming through the region. I want to pick up here on Futurecast. I'm going to fast forward all the way to where we're at right now because we're almost about 8:30. So again, we've got this snow coming through. It is going to continue to push to the east. This is about 9 o'clock. So city of Detroit already starting to see some lighter snow showers, but they'll start to pick up closer to 9 o'clock. Port Huron, you'll start to see some lighter snow showers around 9:30 and then picking up closer to 10 o'clock. So you could see this is a west to east movement, or I guess for everyone else here watching, west to east movement of this line rolling through. It's not going to bring us a lot of snow. We will keep the snow through about the lunch hour the farther east that you live, but as you can tell, a lot of us seeing the snow end. We'll keep just a few light snow showers up towards the tip of the thumb through this afternoon, while the rest of us, I do expect us to stay dry. With the snow this morning and through midday, we're looking at about an inch. That's going to be kind of the middle range. Farther to the north, I do expect where we got this 1 to 2 inch range, quite a few of us to pick up an inch to an inch and a half, and then just a couple pockets near 2 inches. And then where we have the white area, less than an inch, totals will likely be a half an inch to an inch in that region there. So inch is going to be that middle number. Again, enough to be disruptive for travel, enough that you might have to shovel. Keep your sidewalks a priority, steps as well, and then your driveway if you need to do that too. But Mother Nature may help out melting some of the snow on your driveway as we get later into this day. Just with some slightly warmer temperatures expected, potentially up to even 35 degrees. There's a potential for that later this afternoon. I know, isn't that exciting? 35. I'm excited because we haven't been above that in a long time. Let's see. We've got some questions here. No need to be a little bit, okay, let's see. Tonight's snow looks to be above 32. Will it stick in Macomb? So Macomb County, you are kind of on that varying edge of what we'll see. I do expect us to all see snow tonight. I do expect it to start off as snow. The question is how quickly and how far north do we change over to rain? Because with the next system, I want to leave here again, this is this morning stuff, but everyone still wants to know because honestly the next system is a little more potent as it comes on through, but we are all going to see snow as we get into tonight at some point. So this is a look at about midnight. So between about 9 p.m. and midnight tonight is when the snow increases across the area. At this time, our temperatures are likely going to be around freezing. Quite a few of us will be around 30 to 31 degrees. Even if you're at 32 or 33 degrees, you could still see snow. It just has a little bit lesser of a chance of sticking, but by this point, we have had a lot of snow. We've had a lot of cold temperatures, so the ground itself is cold. So that is, again, helping support some accumulation at this moment. So if you're traveling anywhere later tonight, be prepared for some snow to arrive, and this is after about 9 o'clock. For some of us, we will not see flakes until even closer to 11 o'clock tonight. But again, once that snow starts, it's going to continue. This is a look at about, excuse me, 2:30 or so in the morning. Then as we continue throughout the morning and get closer to that morning commute around about 5 o'clock or so, you're going to continue to see the snow showers move through. But by this point, if you notice, I'll even backtrack just a bit. I'm going to stop as we get closer to about, this is 3 o'clock in the morning. So still mainly all snow, but back off to the west, you're able to see in the western side of the state, for example, at this point, green. So looking at that warmer air, all here is warmer air. So when we have that air get above freezing, we're going to see that change over to some rain. And I do expect the entire column of air, we've talked about this a couple times this morning, but if you're just joining, that entire column of air is going to be above freezing, which would mean we'll see the snowflakes melt and it would fall as rain. So it'll be less of a concern of freezing rain or sleet, just because even all the way down to the surface, the column of air is going to be above freezing. All right, but between about 2 and 5 o'clock, we'll start to see that warm air move into our region and we'll see a changeover. Farther south that you live, south of 94, I would guarantee seeing rain showers. We'll see snow and then we'll transition to rain. But it's pretty much if you live north of I-94 where it gets a little bit more questionable if we'll actually transition to some rain showers and how far north will that push. So for example, Lenny, you in Macomb County asking about this, you're going to be on that dividing line, and depends on where you live in Macomb County, the farther north that you live, you do have a better chance to potentially not change over and see snow with the next event completely. But if you live in southern Macomb County, there's a good chance that you do see at least a few hours of some rain showers. as we get into tomorrow morning. So it's really going to depend on where you live as we continue with that next storm system. Then as we get into the rest of the morning and into the early afternoon tomorrow, we will see a changeover to snow showers back across the entire area as colder air filters in. And then eventually, once that colder air filters in, it is going to trigger some lake effect snow showers Thursday and even a bit so into Friday. So I kind of hope that answers your question. I will say the stuff that's coming through right now, the snow that's coming through right now is definitely more clear cut. We're going to see snow. There may be a little bit of sleet mixed in. Not worried about ice accumulation. Tomorrow's system is one of those more muddled systems because it's really going to just depend on not only specifically where you live north to south, but even your town may be slightly different than the town that's due west of you by 10 miles. You may have more of a varying difference there. Depending on your temperature. So it's going to be a bit more muddled of who sees what, but the overall kind of forecast, I can tell you, the farther north that you live, better chance that you are going to see just snow and a couple inches of snow, likely 3 to 5 inches of snow. And then the farther south that you live, snowfall totals will be likely only about 1 to 2 inches of snow. If you're in between, so we're talking between about I-94 and M59, or my gosh, yeah, M59, that's that region that it's going to vary quite a bit. It could only be an inch. You could get up to maybe 4 inches. So that middle area is the big if, depending on how many hours of rain that you do see or temperatures above freezing. So hopefully that answered your question. Again, keep them coming. Would love to help anyone out with any specific questions. If you're just joining again, we're covering the commute this morning because it's not ideal with the snow. We've got snow coming through now, also leading ahead towards more snow that's coming in with our next system that comes through tonight and into tomorrow. Look at that heavier snow arriving right now. We've been talking about it where you have this darker blue. That is our heavier band of snow. So all along US 23 right now, or maybe just to the west of US 23 to the south, that is where we are looking at steadier snow arriving as we speak. I also can tell you that it's steadier snow because take a look at visibility. Ann Arbor visibility is less than a half a mile even right now, down to a third of a mile. Howell visibility is a half mile. Adrian and Flint visibility is less than a mile. Monroe, City of Detroit, and Pontiac looking at the reduced visibility down to a mile, 2 miles in Monroe. So again, that is what we are looking at this morning. Sanilac down to 2.5, so interesting to see that right now. Some hope if you want to see though, I don't want to be all doom and gloom. Lansing back up to 2 miles. Jackson back up to 4 miles. Those two locations had visibility less than a mile an hour ago as that band was moving through, but we're seeing improvement. Again, this is a clipper. The snow is moving fast, relatively fast. The band itself is about 60 miles wide from east to west, and so once we get through that band, it's not much after it in terms of snow. So it starts off light, it picks up, and we have that final kind of push, and then the snow kind of tapers down within about 20 minutes to a half hour after that push of snow along that darker blue band. All right, I'm going to zoom into some of our areas. Let's start south, and then we'll head north. For those of you in Lenawee and Monroe counties, Monroe starting to see the steadier snow pick up. Dundee, Milan going to see the snow pick up within the next 5-10 minutes with that heavier band. Though places like Adrian, it should be letting up as we speak. And then even farther off to the west, snow flurries are likely all that's remaining for you. As we travel to the north into Washtenaw and Wayne counties, Ann Arbor really seeing the snow, Saline really seeing the snow right now. Again, if your commute takes you out to Ann Arbor this morning, at this point, if you have to leave, just be prepared to be late. Don't be in a rush. There's no need to be in a rush at this point. If your commute takes you along I-94 out towards Jackson today, you're going to run into that snow in Ann Arbor. And then it gets better once you get farther off to the west. Places that take you along 275, if you're leaving from Canton, you're heading south towards the airport. If you're heading north up towards Farmington Hills, the snow is starting to pick up here. We're going to see continuing slippery conditions and getting worse. For those of you in Dearborn Heights, Wyandotte, downriver, you're just starting to see the snow arrive. City of Detroit, maybe some flurries, but it's only going to pick up. But for most of the east side, up towards Grosse Pointe, up towards Mount Clemens, it's still quiet at this moment. Warren, Shelby, Sterling Heights, still quiet at this moment. But it's just going to be a matter of time before that snow moves in your direction. All right, let's head back to the west. We'll head through Oakland and Livingston counties. Pontiac, just starting to see the snow arrive. But for Highland, South Lyon, Fenton, Brighton, really starting to see that steadier snow arrive right along the US 23 I-60, oh my gosh, I-96 interchange. That's where we are starting to see the snow pick up quite a bit more. And then we get up towards Lapeer, that's where we're also starting to see more of the snow across the county, but definitely heavier off towards Flint. So if your commute takes you to Flint this morning, looking at some steadier snow there. Up into Sanilac County, not forgetting about you, maybe some flurries, but I do expect things to pick up more throughout the day. But then most of Sanilac County, Port Huron, if you're heading to Canada today, looking at good conditions at this moment, but you just saw the update there. And as the snow is shifting farther to the east, it's going to continue to deteriorate. If you live here in Macomb County and St. Clair County, if your commute's not that far and you can leave right now, you'll be much better off than if you were to leave in a half hour. So that's good to note. If you live though in all these other counties with the snow right now, if you don't have to leave at this moment and you can wait an hour, if you can even wait a half an hour, especially into Livingston, Washtenaw, and Lenawee counties, you'll be much better off for your commute. Yes, the snow will initially fall, but hopefully road crews will be out there. If you can wait an hour, you'll be better off. So maybe, I don't know what type of flexibility you have. I know you could have a career like me where you gotta be there when you gotta be there. But if you don't, maybe you don't go to work today until closer to 10. Conditions will be better farther off to the west. But again, we're looking at the snow coming through. Two biggest concerns with this, visibility being reduced. So this snow is mainly going to impact, again, travel. It's not going to impact and create a lot of power outages or anything like that, but visibility is being reduced less than a mile now, even through the city of Detroit. Pontiac now less than a mile. Howell, Ann Arbor, Adrian, even up towards Flint, less than a mile of visibility at this moment as the snow rolls on through. Again, the snow is moving from west to east as we kind of play through here. The snow is going to continue to move to the east, so expect snowy conditions to pick up. This is a look at about 10 o'clock, so an hour and a half from now. Definitely more focused on the eastern half of our region, or I guess for everyone, because I'm mirroring the eastern half of the region, while farther off to the west, it becomes a bit quieter and conditions improve in places like Ann Arbor, out towards Brighton, out towards Howell, out towards Adrian. Then as we continue throughout the morning, we'll still keep a few showers around the lunch hour, but any of the remaining snow after that final kind of band goes through will be on the lighter side. I'm not worried about a lot of snow. It's just enough snow to disrupt travel. About an inch will be our average this morning. Where we have that less than an inch, I do expect totals about a half an inch to an inch. And then where we've got the 1 to 2 inches, a majority of us are going to be an inch to an inch and a half. So again, close to that inch, a little bit more, a little bit less, a little bit more north, a little bit less south, but our overall range is looking like this. If this kind of looks familiar, this map, the 1 to 2 inches, very similar to Sunday's map. Yes, it was oriented a little bit differently, and then also same thing on Wednesday. And if you were out and about traveling Sunday morning, or maybe for the evening commute last week on Wednesday, it was not a lot of snow, but boy, did it slow things down. Did it make it slippery? That's exactly what we are looking at again, even this morning across the area. Less than ideal timing because it's right in the middle of the morning commute. And so we're going to continue to see it roll through. All right, let me see if I can ask some questions. Got some new ones popping in. Anyone, feel free to ask. Just want to get you out the door this morning and just prepare you for some snow. Again, not a ton of snow, just enough snow to create some poor driving conditions. If you're also just joining, this is the first of 2 storms that we have on the way today. This one will be through and kind of out of here by the time we get to about 1 o'clock for the most part. And then our next one actually comes in tonight. And let's take a look at this one because the next one is going to bring us more of a messy kind of winter weather pattern that we can expect. So this is a look at about 9 o'clock tonight. So that's when snow showers arrive. So yeah, we get through one and then it's like a couple hours and then here comes the next one. So as this moves on through, it is going to increase snowfall across the area. This is about midnight tonight. I do expect all of us to see snow, but around this time our temperatures are going to be roughly freezing, maybe 30, 31, 32 degrees, maybe 33 as well. So we actually are going to head into tonight with warmer temperatures than what we have seen over the last couple of nights. For example, tonight we fell into the teens everywhere. We're not going to see that tonight. So tonight we're going to lead into the overnight hours with temperatures close to the freezing mark. And anytime you have temperatures around freezing and a system coming through, it really kind of just leads to a mess and a lot of kind of all over the place of what people will see. So I just want to preference that there. That's not like an uneducated guess about what's going to happen, but that's kind of telling you like, this is what we're looking at when it comes to winter storms. Winter storms are not clear cut. They are some of the hardest things to forecast for, just because the variability 31 versus 32 degrees makes. Do you think about that? That's 1 degree. That's like nothing. But it can really vary what you see at your particular spot, not only in your town, but maybe in your particular spot of your town. Again, as this comes through. All right. Anyways, get off that tangent. 3 a.m. as we get into tonight. Still mainly looking at snow, but we're going to start to see that warmer air push in from the southwest. So for those of you that live in Monroe and Lenawee counties, even Washtenaw County, by 5 a.m., if you're an early morning commuter or if you do have to go somewhere, you'll likely see a change over to rain. Now, this doesn't mean that rain's going to melt all that snow like that. We're likely to have more slushy conditions, which we know slush can be quite slippery too. But in those regions, Washtenaw County, south towards Lenawee and Monroe, we're actually going to likely spend quite a few hours with temperatures above freezing. Even looking at potentially hours above freezing without any precipitation. So this is a look at about 8 a.m. And some of those southern counties, if you notice, looking at some drier conditions here, kind of falling into the dry slot of this system, but with temperatures above freezing. So that's why I expect totals, especially here, to be maybe 1 to 2 inches of snow overall. And it also will vary, and I mentioned this before, about when you were to go measure this. So like, if you were to measure your snow, say I live in Monroe, and I were to measure my snow at 3 a.m. tonight, I might have 2 inches of snow on the ground. But if I were to go out at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, I might have slush. And that's like, I don't know, a half an inch. So that's another reason that we get like variable totals across the area. But again, looking at some snow showers out there. Then we get closer to about 1 o'clock, looking at some snow showers, continuing, everyone changing back over. Look at, there's Mike Taylor walking on through. Snow showers changing back over as we get through the cold front of the system, and then that's going to lead to the changeover to everyone back to snow, and then eventually trigger some lake effect snow showers out there as we get into tomorrow afternoon. So again, that's the next system. We're still getting through this system as it rolls out there. I can see you, Mike. You can see you in the little camera. Yes. He's, oh wait, sorry, I gotta turn on this. He's just looking at how all of this works here and how you guys are able to see us. But we're now in the top corner there. I can't see it here. I can pull that down because I'm looking at the chat. Anyways, but yeah, there's Mike. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Just wanted to give you a quick note. Allie on the air. She was just talking about how bad the roads are getting. We're getting some sky cam looks at it, so that ribbon of snow you've been talking about this whole time, it's hitting pretty good.
Gosh.
So viewers they're following the forecast or listening to you. If they're thinking about heading out, you probably want to wait out this band of snow just based on what we're seeing out there on the roads. Just wanted to not only see how this works, but also just just chime in with that.
Give some good advice. That's great to know. Yeah. I mean, because, yeah, we just have that band. Thankfully, it's now just passing US 23, so conditions should start to improve there. But obviously, it's going to hit the rest of the metro area. Yeah. What else are you seeing in terms of you? Because you've been on all morning.
Yeah,
obviously,
all morning.
Yes.
This system, I mean, spot on with the forecast. So hopefully, I know these quick hitters, they don't get a lot of attention with winter weather alerts. I know they catch people off guard because of that. So hopefully, people are heeding the warning, heeding your forecast, which was unchanged from yesterday to this morning. And round 2, I mean, did you even get a chance to talk much about round 2?
Yes, because I've had a lot of people murmuring. I've had some questions about school closures already for tomorrow too. I know, and I was trying to preference, and Mike knows this too. We don't have any say if schools should be closed. That's not us. We just give the forecast, and even if we say a place is going to get an inch or two because they're going to change over to rain, that district still may close, and then you can't hate us when you wake up in the morning and be like, we didn't get any snow. But yeah, the next system is a messier one. That's what we're trying to convey. It's really messy. What's your take on the latest on the next system?
It looks like it's going to start off as snow. That's I'm pretty confident in. You know, after sunset, temperatures will be climbing, but I think once the snow and the precip starts falling, it's probably going to hold the temperatures close enough to the freezing mark that it starts off as snow. I'm more concerned about that sleet, freezing rain potential that we can get. Yeah. And if there's anything that could impact the schools, you know, snow is one thing. Ice is a whole other story. So the superintendents wake up and they start seeing freezing rain out there. Yeah. Not only do you want to take it easy out and around the house, but that could impact the schools too. So.
Yeah, and we'll see if we get the sleet and freezing rain. I'm interested to see too, because it's really going to depend. I was trying to explain the difference of like 31 degrees at the surface versus 32 or 33, which is not much. But that can bring a whole lot of different things, you know, and you could be different than the town next to you or even the other part of your town, you know, like it can be quite varying depending on where you live. So It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, welcome
You'll
to
be
our
here.
world of forecasting, right?
Joining in, yes. And you're going to you'll be here tomorrow morning giving everyone the latest information on that as well, too. What time do you start if anyone wants to tune in?
Start at 4:30 in the morning.
Yes.
Web, all the stuff that we do will be just about all morning. I might see if I can get Marisa to come in on her day off to talk about it.
Gonna have to talk to 3 little kids. Yeah. Honestly, I might. We'll see.
Convince her that we need her here.
We'll see. No, yeah.
I'm gonna run back in.
Yeah, you got a weather hit. So yeah, you can still turn into TV 20 still at this point. Another half hour to get his forecast and a good check on traffic. Bye, Mike. Thank you. Okay. And yeah, so yeah, another take here. Again, thankfully, yeah, this is Mike mentioned. I forgot to mention too. You might be wondering why didn't we get a winter weather advisory on this? Because that usually kind of pings people's minds, being like, oh, winter weather advisory. That's issued by the National Weather Service, and usually here we have to get about 2 to 3 inches of expected snow. So obviously we're going to be below that. It's only an inch, but it creates poor travel conditions across the area. So hopefully you're not caught off guard by the snow rolling on through. All right, I'm going to stop this right here, and let's swing back through. Keep your questions coming in. Oh, I'm assuming you're talking about a dog. Wait, let's see. Oh, okay. I thought someone was talking about a dog. I'm reading the comments over here. Sorry. Nope. When you step outside and you freeze immediately. Hey, well, we're waking up this morning in the upper teens. Let's see. All right. Let's see. We've got specific questions. I've got a shout out here from Dearborn. I'm just, let's see, also Clio. All right. So let's talk about, if you're just joining this morning, we're getting close to the top of the 9 o'clock hour. I want to talk about what's coming through right now and also the next system on the way. So right now we have a band of snow. Again, it's about 60 miles wide. And we've got a ribbon. I liked Mike, I'm going to steal his term. Don't tell him, but it's okay if you do. A ribbon of some steadier snow that's moving through. So right now that ribbon, and it's here with the darker blue, that's indicating some steadier snow. Right here is through central Monroe County. So for those of you that take 75 and then even 275 up here towards the airport, it is going to get a little bit more intense within about the next 15 minutes, while off farther to the west for most of Lenawee County now, we're quieter. We're starting to see things really calm down on the west side of the county, so that's some great news there. All right, we'll travel a little bit farther to the north, Wayne and Washtenaw counties here. So just starting to see the snow slow a bit through Ann Arbor, but if you're taking M14 or I-94 out towards Ann Arbor, you're going to run into this snow. And we are looking at the snow now picking up in Canton, just arriving more into Westland as well as Livonia. It's going to continue to pick up. Of course, we're starting to see snow through the city of Detroit. This is now impacting the Southfield Freeway up towards the Lodge, all of Dearborn, Dearborn Heights, Southfield, Ferndale. I could pretty much just name every city that we have that's starting to see the snow pick up. All right, we did just get an update there on where that band is. I just want to backtrack just a bit. So Canton down towards Belleville and maybe looking at the snow starting to pick up a bit. We're also going to start to see it really pick up in the Novi area of I-96. I know that's a heavily traveled corridor there. I may or may not drive through that quite often, but yes, if you live in that area, Commerce, Milford, South Lyon, really seeing that snow picking up for you. It's not a lot of snow. Again, we're not expecting inches and inches of snow dumping. It's going to be enough to create slippery driving conditions, especially on any untreated surface. So we're talking a surface that does not have salt on it, and that will lead to slippery conditions. Highland, heavy snow right now. West of Pontiac, as you're moving towards Sylvan Lake, looking at some steadier snow at this moment, and looking at that snow now just to the east of Flint. Lapeer, starting to see the snow pick up in your county, while farther off to the east, it's still quiet in almost all of St. Clair County. Sanilac County starting to see snow arrive to the west of Sandusky. Elk, Yale, you're starting to see that snow push in. And then as we get farther to the south here, most of Macomb County, we are starting to see the snow arrive in Macomb, Sterling Heights, Warren, Shelby. But just now, St. Clair Shores, Mount Clemens, looking at some maybe flurries at this point, but I do expect it to pick up. All the Grosse Points, looking at the snow picking up at this moment, same thing through Hamtramck. So again, it's this narrow band of snow and even a ribbon of some even heavier snow. And I want to update you here because it is bringing slippery driving conditions. It's also reducing visibility. Visibility is less than a mile now. Flint, Pontiac, Detroit, down towards Monroe, Ann Arbor, looking at reduced visibility. I was going to see if I could look up at the, sorry, my husband just texted me. He took the kids to school today. This is his, I'm going to share this because I hope this makes you laugh too, but also not, because it does describe the situation. He says, quote, "It is like a blizzard on the way to school." As a meteorologist, a blizzard, there are certain criteria that have to be met to have blizzard. You need to have a wind, a sustained wind for 3 hours and consistent snow. That's not going to be the case for us. But I do get what he's saying. He's indicating that it is snowing. It is breezy out there. It is hard to see. That's why we have reduced visibility right now. And then also looking at slippery driving conditions. So that's great to know. He also sent me a cute picture of my son. So always good to see that. Anyways, but yes, this morning we are looking at reduced visibility. We are looking at cold temperatures. I want to take a look. Let's actually backtrack a little more. Take a look at the winds. So yesterday, thankfully, we had calm winds. We had cold temperatures. So it's great that our winds were not up. Today, they are up. They're out of the south. As you can see, these are sustained winds, about 10 to 15 miles per hour. We will start to see some gusts near 25 miles per hour as this front continues to move to the east and behind this front. The winds are making it feel colder. We are all below freezing right now with temperatures into the teens. We are a little bit warmer through the city of Detroit, Mount Clemens, and Port Huron, but when you factor in the winds, it's feeling more like the single digits and low teens as you step out the door. So keep that in mind. It is definitely cold this morning. We are looking at, again, this band of snow rolling on through. It's about 60 miles wide, and then we have a ribbon that's even heavier, and I'm going to continue to loop this so you can see, again, it starts and it ends. You have about, I'm going to do the math real quick. You have roughly about an hour and a half of some steady snow. You have a couple flurries leading into that, a couple lighter flurries and light snow after that. So it's really about an hour and a half that takes you to get through this band of snow. So keeping that in mind, the reason I want to point that out is, so say you need to be at work by 9 o'clock. Say you live in Mount Clemens and you're like, I got to be at work. Well, if you can get to Mount Clemens, if you live in Mount Clemens, you're fine. But if you live in Mount Clemens and you're going to Pontiac, if you can wait, I would wait. Get through this band of snow, and then you get to better conditions behind this narrow band of snow. If you live in Howell, for example, and you're like, okay, I need to get to work by 9 o'clock, at this point, be prepared for slippery driving conditions, because obviously the snow just fell and crews are now going out there, but your conditions are going to improve, especially if you do hit a road that maybe had some salt put on it 20 minutes ago, so it will be better in that situation. But a lot of 275 right now, a lot of that traffic, 94, a majority of it in our extreme metro area. Same thing with 696 and 96. We are looking at that snow really picking up. The Lodge, the Southfield, lots of snow coming in at this moment. So I can just only imagine what it is on the roadways at this moment in those regions. Again, just because of that snow rolling on through. All right, what kind of questions do you have for me? Let's see. Let's see, it's 75 and sunny in Brownstown. Okay. Is that inside your house? I don't know. I'm like, is this Brownstown? I know it's Brownstown Township. I'm trying to figure out where you're at. Let's see. Okay. Oh, thank you. Yes, I know. I'll try to talk a little louder. I am right outside the newsroom. So the weather department sits right outside the newsroom. So we've got people talking about editing. And so they're right there. So yes, I'm sorry if you can hear that. Let's see. Oh, okay. Question about how many inches of snow. This morning's snow is only going to be about an inch of snow. You can see lighter amounts are expected farther to the south, more around about a half an inch to an inch in that spot that says less than an inch of some snow. Again, farther to the north, we are looking at about an inch to an inch and a half, with just a couple pockets getting 2 inches. So overall, this round of snow, not a lot, but I keep putting it into the perspective like this. Were you out and about last week on Wednesday for the evening commute? Were you out and about Sunday morning? Both of those storms had the same amount of snow forecasted as we do right now. If you were out and about, it was poor to drive anywhere. Slippery road conditions, it wasn't much, it was hard to see at times. That is what we're looking at again. Slippery driving conditions, hard to see at times. Not a lot of snow, but just enough to create problems. If you're wondering if you're going to have to shovel, I would suggest shoveling at least your sidewalk, and make sure that people that can get in and out of your house too, like your mail person, to deliver that, your letter carrier, FedEx, UPS, all those, package delivery services, make sure that they can get in and out of your house, because it's just going to be just enough snow to have to do that again. But this is one of 2 storms that are on the way today. If you're just joining again, we're getting through our first band right now. We'll continue to see this through about 11 o'clock this morning. So some of us still have about 2 more hours, if not even a little more of some snow. Others have a little bit less than that. But I want to fast forward to what's on the way tonight. Yes, you heard that right. So we get through this, you're like, whew, I'm fine, I can relax. Well, then we have another storm that comes in, and this one gets a little bit more kind of muddled on what we're looking at. So snow showers arrive mainly after 9 o'clock. We see the snow pick up through 9 o'clock and midnight tonight. Like Mike was saying too, I do agree. I think we're going to start all with snow. Our temperatures are going to be close to the freezing mark, but a lot of us are going to be just below the freezing mark. And even the entire column of air, I want you to think about the atmosphere as a whole column of air, is going to be below freezing initially. But this system is going to bring us a warm front. So this initial snow is actually part of a warm front. So you are going to start to have warm air move in at a certain part of the atmosphere. And as that moves through, eventually we are going to see that entire column of air become warm, and we'll see a change over to some rain. So that starts to happen mainly after about 3 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. Between about 3 and 5 o'clock, we start to see really that change over to rain in the southern half of the area, south of I-94, up towards Ann Arbor, including Monroe and Adrian and all of the communities around there. And then as we continue throughout the morning commute tomorrow, that's going to be the biggest question on if we will see that rain snow line push all the way north to even up to about I-69 actually here. So if that's the case, a lot of us are going to be waking up tomorrow morning with snow that has fallen and then rain that is now falling. And that could lead to very slushy conditions again in the morning, but less maybe to shovel. So it's going to lead to messy conditions. With that said, though, if you live farther to the north, you're still looking at snow falling in places like Port Huron and up towards even Lapeer maybe, and even, of course, all of Sanilac County at this point. Then we continue throughout the morning. We get the cold front coming through, so then colder air arrives, and we switch back to some snow as you get towards the lunch hour tomorrow, and then we'll still keep some snow showers. Thankfully, it does look to move out of the area by the time we get to the evening commute tomorrow. So tomorrow's impacts will be the morning commute yet again, and it's just going to be a bit more iffy on who sees what for the morning commute tomorrow. This is the latest snowfall map. Again, this will likely be tweaked throughout the day today, just because we'll have a better idea once we get through this snow coming through now, and then kind of what things are looking like with the system, where our temperatures are at leading into tonight, because temperatures with this next system are going to play the biggest role in what we see. Are we going to see snow, rain, snow? Are you going to see all snow? Are you going to see snow, rain, snow, but that rain is only for like 2 hours? Or is it going to be snow, rain, snow, where that rain is for 6 hours? So again, it varies quite a bit. The best rule of thumb, and I want you to take away with this snowfall map, which is just for tonight and into tomorrow's snow, is that we are expecting more snow north than south. And then we are likely going to have totals of a couple inches to the north, at least in some pockets. When you do start to get to those forecasted totals, 3 to 5 inches of snow, and then with this snow falling mainly overnight and into the early morning hours, in those areas, I just would want you to think that there is the potential that things may be closed. Once again, the disclaimer here, we do not call off school. It's always up to the district. And some districts call off the night before and don't even let the first flake fall of snow, but some wait and they kind of gauge the conditions by the morning. I would hope more schools kind of wait and gauge the conditions by the morning tomorrow, because it is going to vary quite a bit across the area. For example, down in Monroe, where we've got 1 to 2 inches forecasted for some snow, there's a great potential down in Monroe that we do start off with the snow. It looks concerning this evening, but then by the time we get to tomorrow morning, you've already had maybe 3 hours of rain and conditions might be totally fine on the roadways there. So it's really going to vary here on where you live, and kind of what you're going to see. And then also, again, it's the school district's call on if they are open or if they are closed for tomorrow. My thought process as a meteorologist is there is the likelihood that we will have school closures tomorrow, and the best likelihood will be north. That's not a guarantee by any means that your school will be closed. So don't walk away and be like, she said. I didn't. But anyways, okay. Feel free to have your questions coming in too if you're wondering about what the weather is going to be like, what it's looking like right now. Let's get back to kind of our current conditions. And we've got this band of snow again rolling through and that ribbon of steadier snow. All right, okay. So looking at, oops, we'll loop it into motion here. I'll take off the satellite so you don't have the clouds. We're just gonna focus on radar. Oh, okay, we'll loop again. All right, so heaviest band, again, is that dark blue color that we're looking at. Snow is moving from, I gotta do it backwards for you guys, west to east, and we are looking at a band of about 60 miles of some snow, and then a narrower band about 10 miles wide. And that narrow band is this part right here, that ribbon. I liked that term that Mike used, the ribbon of some steadier snow. So right now it's really arriving, it's moving through 75 south of Monroe as well, 275 up towards this interchange, 696 as well as 275 going up M5 and then up towards Pontiac right now. Steady snow also up through Lapeer. This is the band that is bringing visibility down to less than a mile. So we're just starting to see that again, still through the Novi area of 96. Also seeing that through 94 right by the airport at this moment. We'll see that, of course, conditions to deteriorate as this band continues to move off to the east. We are seeing quite a bit of snow through Wayne County right now, Monroe County as well. There were counties that had poor conditions about an hour ago, now looking much better. So again, that is the story. You get through this band, it gets through in about an hour, hour and a half, and then it gets much better as the storm continues to move to the east. All right, up here, we're just starting to see some flakes in Port Huron, St. Clair, also farther to the north, but Macomb, Mount Clemens, all the Grosse Points really starting to see the snow pick up as well. Heaviest is still just off to your west, though, so if you're thinking this isn't too bad, visibility will likely be reduced in about 20 minutes as this area that's just arriving in Pontiac, Independence, Sylvan Lake, West Bloomfield, Farmington Hills, Northville, that's where you're starting to see that steadier band roll on through. Again, this is moving from west to east. I should switch my arrow, maybe that house instead of my pointer being in that direction. All right, look at how easy this is. Okay, there we go. All of this is moving in this direction, right? So for those of you in Lake Orion, Rochester, Troy, Ferndale, you are going to see your snow pick up within about the next 10 minutes, and then farther off to the west, it's going to be a little bit longer, probably closer to the next 20 minutes to a half hour. For those of you farther to the south, if your commute is to the airport today, that's what I was going to do, and I keep forgetting to check. I was going to see if we have any delays on any air travel, because usually when you get snow like this, it's not necessarily that your flight's going to be canceled. I mean, we live in an area that gets snow all the time, but sometimes they like to space out planes a little more, so it can lead to a little bit of a delay. So be prepared for that. There might be some minor delays if you have a flight today. Shouldn't be anything too crazy. This is not enough snow to close the airport, which is some good news. But the heaviest snow is going through the airport as we speak. Also downriver, Flat Rock, south of Flat Rock, down towards Newport, Monroe, Luna Pier, seeing some of the steadier snow. If we follow, though, some of the roads, including Michigan Avenue out west, again, it's quieter now in Adrian, quieter in Tecumseh. The good news, right? We'll all be there. We'll all join the rest of them soon. Howell, getting quieter. 96 conditions are likely still dicey west of Brighton, but crews should be out there taking care of the road conditions. Up towards Flint, if your travel takes you along US 23 or 75 towards Flint, it is going to still be snowy, but we're going to look at conditions improving now that that narrow ribbon of steadier snow is now moving off to the east. I was just going to check here. I'll leave this radar. Let me loop it just a bit. I don't mind. Again, have your questions come and check. There is a graph or a website. I was going to see if I can see where the snowplows are. Let's see. Again, we've got this. If you're just joining, if you are just joining right now, talking about the snow that's coming through this morning, and then also we have more on the snow that's on the way tonight and into tomorrow. I'm looping this through here. I'm just checking to see. They do usually have a map, and I don't remember how to get to it. It's been a little bit. Yes, they've got a list of the snow plows, which if you've ever been on this, shout out to MDOT And I don't know who got to name the snowplows, but they all have fantastic names. It's like my favorite. Oh, I can see them. I just wanted to see if we've got, who's out there. There's my snowplow icon. Yes. Oh, let's see. My internet's fine, but I think my map has too much information to load. Okay, I can't see them, but we'll see. Oh, we're thinking. We've got one in the city of Detroit popping up. But anyways, if you go to mdrive at michigan.gov, you can look up where snowplows are. You can also figure out what their names are too. Now, these are the ones not run by cities. These are obviously run by the state, MDOT. But that is also a great opportunity if you don't have the opportunity to, watch Allie in the morning and talk about current conditions. That can also tell you road conditions, construction conditions too, speed as well. Of course, probably in your car. If you have a nicer car, you can probably gauge, where things are slow too. But this is also a great opportunity too if you're at home to test things out. Oh, good. There's now cold air blowing on me. All right, let's see. What kind of questions do you guys have for me? Okay, not really sure. I don't even want to say what one of these questions are about. Ooh, I've got a good question. Someone asking, what is up with all of the storms? So, we have a weak La Nina in place. So, usually a weak La Nina means that for us, we can have the jet stream likes to come in from the northwest and then dip down kind of through the Ohio River Valley and then lift back to the north. And that would take a lot of storms like to go along that jet stream. And I'm also doing this backwards, mirroring it for everyone. Okay, so we go this way. So a lot of times the storms like to ride along that jet stream and then go off back to the north. So that's usually what kind of the pattern sets up with a weak La Nina based on the water temperatures all the way in the equatorial Pacific. So yes, overall pattern for us though, what that usually means is that we tend to have more storms go across the area. And then depending on our temperatures, we could have more snow, we could have more rain as well. Weak La Nina, we tend to have average temperatures, but if you've obviously been around the last 2 weeks here, it has not been average. We have spent a lot of days well below average, 15 degrees below average, and that's what we've been seeing. We've been more in the cold sector. So as these storms are riding along that jet stream, they're bringing us snow because we're below freezing. So we're continuing to see that across the area, and we're going to continue to get that likely at least for the next week, and potentially even longer than that. If you've looked at the 7-day forecast, this weekend, not going to be warm. Nope, it's going to be a struggle to get to highs near 20 on Sunday. So it's going to be cold. Lows will likely be in the single digits as well. So this stretch of cold weather is going to be continuing across the area. We are going to, sorry. Anyways, we are going to be continuing to look at cold conditions. If you are hoping for a white end to the entire year, well, we've got another, 3 weeks to go. I can tell you likely the next week, if not next week and a half to 2 weeks, will likely stay at or below freezing most of the days. I do not see an extended warm up coming in our future. So that would lead to a better chance to continue to keep things snowy all the way through the end of the year. So keeping that in mind. Most of our systems so far have been Alberta clippers, and that means they originate in Alberta, Canada. And usually with Alberta clippers, they come through and they clip the region. They're fast moving. They're riding along that jet stream. And that's what we're looking at with this one. So this is snow from an Alberta clipper. It brings us some snow for about an hour and a half. There's a band that's a little bit narrower that brings some steady snow for about 10 to 20 minutes. And then everything moves over and it gets much calmer behind this system. So we are going to see that, again, as the snow continues to move from east to west. We are looking at tomorrow's system to be somewhat of an Alberta clipper, but it is picking up some more moisture. It's structured a little different here. It did actually originate in the Canadian Rockies, but it has a little more moisture with it. So we are likely going to have some higher snowfall totals with it as it comes on through. Let's see. So again, and we'll likely have more chances for snow. Speaking before I get back to kind of the specifics of what's going on now, we have more snow Thursday and Friday. That's going to be lake effect snow. That's going to be light lake effect snow, so more hit or miss, and not really expecting much. And then Friday night into Saturday, we might get another little clipper coming through, and then potentially into Sunday as well. Maybe not Sunday, but maybe more so Monday. So we just kind of get these systems rolling through. They all cycle through. You've got big patterns, you've got small patterns that kind of happen in terms of the weather, and that's what we're looking at. All right, let's get back to what we've got going on now. Happy Tuesday morning. If you're just joining, it is 9 o'clock, and we are tracking snow showers across the area this morning. We do have snow now, more focused on the eastern half of our region. Where we've got the white color, that is snow. The blue color, that is still snow, but it is heavier snow. We do have this a ribbon or band of snow that is bringing some really poor visibility across the area. I want to backtrack and take a look at visibility first before we kind of have the snow time through. So example, in Lapeer, you're at less than less than a mile visibility. Pontiac down to a third of a mile. The city of Detroit, a half a mile, and same thing in Monroe. But you can see off to the west, visibility has improved quite a bit. We are looking at visibility now at 7 miles in Howell, 5 miles in Adrian, 10 miles in Jackson. About an hour to an hour and a half ago, those places had visibility less than a mile. So we are seeing visibility improving behind that narrow kind of ribbon of some snow. But back looking at where this band is, I'm going to take off visibility. I'm going to loop this so you can see snow is moving. I got to do this backwards to mirror it, west to east across the area. So it comes through, it picks up quickly. It's not going to bring us a lot of snow, but we are looking at just enough snow to create some slippery driving conditions across the area. This is part of a warm front of a system that is a clipper that's moving through. There may be some sleet on the very back edge of this, but for the most part, we're looking at snow. All right, this is 9 o'clock. This is where we're at right now. We'll continue to fast forward. 10 o'clock, this is when we finally start to see more of that snow pick up through Macomb County, St. Clair County, and Sanilac counties, while places like Oakland County, especially western Oakland County or western Wayne County, and then Monroe, Livingston, Lenawee, and Washtenaw counties, this is where the snow really starts to taper down quite a bit for you as we get closer to, again, 10 o'clock. We fast forward even more, 11 o'clock. More of us starting to see the snow taper down, but it's still holding on Sanilac, St. Clair, and Macomb counties as we continue throughout the morning. Getting closer to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, almost all of us will see an end to the snow. There will be a few at least lighter snow showers or flurries up towards the tip of the thumb. Is this also backwards for everyone? No, thank goodness. But yes, that's what we're looking at. Then as we get through the rest of the afternoon and the evening commute, totally fine. It's going to be much better. Hopefully not only will road crews be out improving conditions, but also we will be looking at temperatures getting above freezing today. So that is going to help improve conditions out on the roadways. Our high today, roughly 35. So again, your range is going to be anywhere from probably 33 degrees to 36 degrees, depending on where you live. But this morning's snow, that middle point, about an inch. South of I-96, it's going to be about a half an inch to an inch of snow. North of I-96, it's going to be about an inch to an inch and a half of snow. There will be a couple pockets that get a little bit more, closer to 2 inches. Though south, I don't really expect many people to just get a dusting there, so it'll probably be a half an inch. To me, that's more than a dusting. But it's just enough snow to create slippery driving conditions. We've had a lot of poor driving conditions out there already this morning. Again, it is also enough that you might need a shovel. Please keep your sidewalks as well as up to your front door a priority, especially if you're expecting a package today or something like that, and people are going to be walking on your pathway and then also your sidewalk in the front of your house. Mother Nature might help your driveway, so you might not have to do that today, and help melt some of that snow. But this is one of 2 storms that are coming through today. Again, the first one, we're pretty much all through this by the lunch hour. It's once we get towards the later parts of this afternoon, later this evening into tonight. So again, we have many hours of calm conditions. Tonight, though, it starts to pick up again. This is our next storm system. This one comes in, it's going to be all snow initially. Snow will spread across the area starting after 9 o'clock. A lot of us won't see snow, though, until closer to 11 o'clock or midnight tonight. And then as we head overnight tonight, we are all going to look at a few hours of some snow. So if you notice, some of us have had snow from 9 o'clock till 3 a.m. Others, it started at midnight and then goes to 3 a.m. After we get about 3 a.m., we will be looking at warm enough air pushing in. And the question is, are we going to change over to some sleet and freezing rain? Or is our entire column of air going to be warm enough that we actually switch to just rain in general? It's going to be quite iffy because our temperatures tonight are going to be close to the freezing mark. And whenever we have temperatures that are 30, 31, 32, 33 degrees. They're all within 3 degrees of each other, but that varying enough can lead to potentially icy conditions. So if you're at 30 degrees, but almost the entire column of air is above freezing, you're going to have raindrops that fall, and then once it hits right at the surface where we're at 30 degrees below freezing, you may have some icy conditions going on. However, if you're at 32 degrees or 33 degrees, which again is only 2 or 3 degrees warmer, you could look at that warm air continuing all the way down to the surface, and then you're not worried about ice. So look, you would just be worried about rain showers, changeovers. So we'll see. It's going to get a little bit dicey in the very early morning tomorrow. And then as we progress throughout the morning, it's still going to be dicey because we're going to see a mixed bag of precipitation. So this is 8 o'clock in the morning and still looking at snow, mainly north. I will say if you live north of I-69, not really even M59, but I-69, this is probably going to be an all snow event for you tonight and into tomorrow. If you live south of that, it is going to be a mixture of snow and then transitioning to rain. But some of us are going to be looking at rain for a long time. Others are going to be looking at a rain kind of sleet mix for a short amount of time. And that's really going to determine how much snow you overall see and also driving conditions. We will all switch back over to snow as we get towards midday tomorrow as a cold front comes through with this system. Colder air coming with that cold front, that'll lead the changeover, and then eventually as that colder air filters in, that is going to try to trigger on some lake effect snow showers, which you can even see here coming off of Lake Huron and then starting to wind up as we get into Wednesday night, and more so we'll see it into Thursday and Friday with winds out of the northwest with the lake effect snow kind of kicking up. So again, this snow that's coming through now really disrupting travel. The snow that comes in tomorrow also going to disrupt travel for the morning commute, even if you're looking at rain, because we are expecting snow across the area. I will preference here, this is the latest snowfall map for tonight and into tomorrow. This will likely get adjusted throughout the day today, like I've been mentioning, just mainly because we're going to get through this snow and then we'll kind of figure out what is happening in the atmosphere. Are we seeing our temperatures climb to the mid 30s today like they should? If they don't, what is that looking like? So again, they should climb into the mid 30s today. And as long as everything stays on track, this will likely be kind of what the snowfall map looks like. I can tell you the best thing I can say is that north, it's likely going to be all snow. South, it'll likely be snow, rain, snow. So that's why we'll have lighter amounts there. If you were to leave very early tomorrow morning, we're talking about 3 a.m., it's still going to be pretty much all snow at that point, and there could be a couple inches of snow, but then as we change over to rain farther south, that is going to dampen down some of the snow that is out there, and then potentially even, of course, lead to no accumulation past a certain point. So that is why we've got about 1 to 2 inches of snow as of now, stretching up through the city of Detroit and then back towards Adrian. You can see that swath there of snow, but it's a narrow kind of I want to get this arrow here, but if you notice here, you could pick up 1 inch of snow here, but right here you could pick up 5 inches of snow. I think this line is going to be quite tight. It might not be right here, it might be a little bit farther north, but the reason this range is going to be very tight, it's going to be a pretty sharp cutoff, is because it's really going to depend on where that switch over from snow to rain happens and how long we see the rain. Tomorrow's system is definitely a lot more muddled. It's not as clear cut. The one that's coming through today, much more clear cut across the area. All right, keep your questions coming. I'll give another look at what we've got going on right now. And hopefully answering questions. Thankfully, it looks like we're starting to see things let up a bit along 275. But we're looking at still some steady snow. It's that ribbon of the darker blue arriving in the city of Detroit, stretching up towards I-75, interchanging with 696 at this moment. Also seeing some steadier snow towards St. Clair Shores, Grosse Pointe Park, Grosse Pointe Shores, all that, Warren, Sterling Heights. Clawson and Rochester Hills dealing with some of the steadiest snow right now. Same thing up towards Troy. So if you take I-75, if you take M59, far less than ideal conditions at this moment. Visibility likely less than a half a mile here. And then as we work our way up, we're now into northern Macomb County and St. Clair counties here. We are also looking at the snow picking up and continuing to move off to the east. We'll continue to see that snow continue to increase as we get through this morning. Up to the north, Sandusky looking at the snow picking up, same thing through Sanilac, and then also all of Lapeer County looking at snow. While back towards Flint, we're at least seeing the steadier snow slow down, though still some snow showers in the area. US 23, which was hit really hard around about 8 o'clock, now much calmer, at least through Fenton, down through Brighton. Better conditions there. Almost looking at the steadier snow ending here on US 23 towards Whitmore Lake, and then down towards Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor, M14 though, still pretty poor. Even also through 96 through Novi, Milford, that area, looking at the snow still continuing. 275 down south Plymouth into Canton, Livonia, Westland, Wayne, down towards the airport, Belleville, looking at still some snowy conditions through that region at this moment. I need to get some coffee in me at this moment as well. But also downriver, really seeing some of the steadiest snow at this moment, south of the city of Detroit, southwest, down towards Wyandotte, as well as even farther, Trenton, Lincoln Park, likely seeing some of that. Gibraltar, snow really picking up, continuing all the way down towards Monroe. You can see, looking at snow showers there, 275 down towards the, or excuse me, not 275, 75 down towards the state line. Probably poor conditions, so if your travels take you to Toledo right now, if you can wait about a half hour, things should get better again. Good news is 23 south of Dundee, snow is ending. It's probably still very slippery, but conditions should be getting better as we aren't looking at any snow off to the west. So again, once we get through this band, take a look at that. Much better conditions off to the west. There's nothing out there, so road crews will be able to help clear the snow. I want to do a quick update on temperatures, seeing where we're at. Mother Nature's not going to help us melt the snow right now. We have the teens, we have low 20s at this moment. We are expecting highs into the mid 30s today. It is a bit breezy too. Also, Mother Nature not helping out. It's making it feel colder. It's feeling like the single digits as you step out the door this morning. Low teens in a few spots, but the wind is also kind of leading to some blowing snow. We don't have a lot of it, but visibility is being reduced. So right now, winds are out of the south-southwest at about 10 to 15 miles per hour, and that is leading again to some poor travel conditions and wind chills. Visibility, latest check, we have visibility less than a mile. Lapeer, Mount Clemens, Pontiac, Detroit, Monroe. But back off to the west, if you want some positive things to look at, Flint back up to 3 miles, Howell 7 miles, Ann Arbor 3 miles, Adrian 5 miles. Jackson 10 miles. So again, it gets better once we get through the snow, but the snow is really impacting visibility as well outside. Keep your lights on. We are now past sunrise. If your car, again, even if it has automatic lights, just make sure that they're on. It's not necessarily for you to see, it's for others to see you as well. That's what I think a lot of people always forget, being like, I can drive totally fine. It's so others can see you as well too. Think about it. If you can't, we've all seen the cars that don't have their lights on and you're like, gosh, I didn't even see them. There you go, right? You said it. Anyways, okay, let's get back to what we've got going on. Again, still looking at snow coming through. I'll take the satellite off, put things into motion. Our heaviest band right now, moving through 75 at this moment, along I-75, I should be more specific here, through Oakland County, and then down towards the city of Detroit. Looking at the Lodge being impacted at this moment. That's where our heaviest band is, just coming through the city of Detroit, now crossing over almost into Canada. So for those of you that could be watching there, you are looking at the snow picking up as we speak. We'll see the snow pick up for those of you in Macomb, Sterling Heights, and Warren within the next 5 to 10 minutes. Also Grosse Pointe up towards St. Clair Shores, Mount Clemens. Even farther to the north, New Baltimore, you'll start to see the snow pick up. We're just starting to see it pick up south of Port Huron, so that is going to continue to have reduced conditions, reduced visibility, poor travel conditions as the morning continues. We are starting to see things improve slightly, oh so slightly, off to the west, but we'll continue to see that change. Again, this morning, it's not going to be a lot of snow. It's going to be about an inch of snow, but that's all it takes to create some slippery driving conditions. I want to fast forward through here and we'll get all the way to about, let's fast forward through 9:30. This is Futurecast, which I think honestly has done a great job of forecasting our snow and kind of giving you an idea of what we can look at. So again, this is about 9:30. This is what it looks like on the map. We fast forward to 10, looking at the snow really picking up at this point in Sanilac, St. Clair, Macomb counties, but then really starting to see it almost completely end farther off to the west. By the time we get to 11 o'clock, we're starting to see the snow slow in Pontiac, all the way down towards the city of Detroit and all the communities in between, while it's still going strong pretty good through Port St. Lac and Port Huron. We're going to continue to see that move off to the east as we get into 1 o'clock this afternoon, though I wouldn't rule out a couple of flurries, especially the closer that you live towards the tip of the thumb. But for most of us, the rest of the day after the lunch hour, calm. We will have plenty of clouds. We will be looking at good driving conditions for the evening commute, so you won't have to worry about that this time around. And then we'll continue to see again. We'll wait for our next storm system that's on the way tonight. Overall, 1 inch of snow expected as we move throughout the rest of this morning. It will be about 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches if we give you a better range there. Yeah, so it's about 1 inch range, but it's around 1 inch. Could be a couple pockets up to 2 inches of some snow, but most places will be closer to 1 inch. It's not a lot. It is just enough, though, that creates the poor travel conditions. And then also be mindful, you might need to shovel your sidewalk, your driveway as well. Just keep in mind the people that may be coming to your house today, or people that like to walk on your sidewalk in front. Clear it for them. And a lot of cities too, it's a rule that you have to have your sidewalk clear within 24 hours of the snowfall event. So keep that in mind. All right. What questions? Any questions do we have coming in? I think I got most of us out the door, which is some great news. I'll do another check of what we've got for our next system, because that one again gets a little bit more muddled, a little bit more dicey. This comes in tonight, so it's not too far away. It's actually about 12 hours away from now. We'll start to see some snow showers arrive. Everyone's going to start off with snow. We will be looking at snow if you're traveling anywhere later tonight. We're talking after 9 o'clock, but even later than that, you will be looking at poor travel conditions across the area. That snow is going to continue for all of us through the early morning hours, but as we get closer to the morning commute, we'll start to see a changeover from snow to rain. So you can even see here, we're looking at the changeover as warmer air continues to fill in this part of the storm system. We'll switch to rain as the entire column of air that is above us gets above freezing. So for those of you that live in these southern counties, Lenawee, Monroe counties, even towards Ann Arbor, you'll see the changeover first, and then we'll fast forward from 5 a.m. through about 8 a.m. At that point, you're looking at more and more hours of temperatures above freezing. So think about that's more rain expected in your region, while farther to the north, most of Wayne County, as well as Washtenaw County, over towards Livingston and Oakland counties, even Macomb counties, this area is starting to look at the changeover to rain, but it's not for as long. Farther to the north, though, we keep it snow across the area, so something to watch for sure. Then as we continue throughout the morning, we will eventually transition back to snow showers as colder air comes in behind a cold front with this system. So colder air filters in, and then we all switch back to some snow showers as we get into the early afternoon on Wednesday. Snow will taper down. The evening commute should be fine tomorrow, but it's the morning commute that is going to be dicey. So this system, I expect farther north, all snow. We're talking north, especially of I-69. South of that, it's going to likely be snow, rain, snow. Again, some of us will have rain for an hour. Some of us will have rain for 3 hours. Some of us will have rain for 6 hours. It is going to vary quite a bit across the area, and that's ultimately going to vary your snowfall totals. So again, this is a rough map that we've got going for tonight and into tomorrow. This will likely get adjusted some just based on what we're looking at with the system, also current conditions going into this afternoon. I want to make sure that we do get that warm air and we climb into the mid-30s this afternoon. Once this front comes through, we are going to look at stronger winds. Winds are going to be out of the southwest today at about 15 with gusts up to 25 and 30 miles per hour. So that southwesterly wind is going to pull in some warmer air. So that should bump us up to above freezing, mid-30s this afternoon before we do fall slightly heading into tonight closer to the freezing mark. And so that is ultimately going to kind of determine what we could see initially with the system, and then also how much is it going to take for warm air to move in to bump us above the freezing mark that would lead to a changeover from snow to rain as the system comes through. I know it's a complicated forecast, just trying to be a little transparent there for you guys to be able to see it. So yes, let's see. I did get a question. What time will the snow stop coming down? If you could do a follow-up on that question, are you talking about the snow coming through right now or the snow tomorrow? Because that's what I would like to know. You're welcome, David, for the update. If you're talking about the snow right now, when will it stop? It depends on where you live. Some of us actually are already looking at the snow ending. The snow, once it starts, lasts about an hour and a half, and then it ends. So if you're just starting to see the flakes, you probably have until about 11 o'clock, at least, for the snow to move through and then slow down. Farther to the west, though, finally really seeing it end. Brighton now starting to see it end. Ann Arbor starting to see the snow end, and you just continue along US 23 down farther to the south. It's starting to end, so that's some good news there. But we're still looking at quite a bit of snow. Western Monroe County working north into Wayne County, Oakland County, Macomb County starting to see some of the steadiest snow. Again, this band is about 60 miles wide. Then we have a ribbon here of some steadier snow. Okay, it's right about here. Just now moving through, I think, Sandusky in St. Helena County, you're starting to see that, or it's moving through now. And then, of course, down here through Sterling Heights, Macomb, Warren, just to the east of the city of Detroit on the east side. Grosse Pointe, you'll start to see also the snow pick up, and then now it's into Canada. So the good news is all of this behind that band is not as bad, but it is still, of course, snowing and still aiding to a little bit more snow, a little bit more to make things just a little bit more slippery, right? Okay, I hope you guys all get my sarcasticness. But anyways, let's take a look at what we've got going on visibility-wise. The snow is not only creating some slippery conditions, but Mount Clemens, for example, visibility less than a mile. Pontiac, a third of a mile still. But we are getting better visibility now off to the west. So that is to come if you're thinking about, geez, when is it going to get better? It's not far away. Lansing is about 60 miles away for a lot of us. It's not far away. So that will be coming our direction, which is some great news. But we're still dealing with the snow that's rolling through right now. As we take a look here at radar, I'll take off. The satellite just makes it so hard. Again, white here is snow, blue here is also snow, but the bluer it is, the heavier the snow band rolling on through. It's not going to be a lot of snow when all is said and done. Totals will be around about an inch, a few places 1.5 inches, maybe trying to get to 2, but a lot of us about an inch, even a little less than an inch in some pockets as well. So that's what we're looking at today as it continues to roll through. I'll continue to keep you posted here. Probably going to stay here to about 10 o'clock this morning too. And then we'll have to take a look at our next storm system that'll be coming our way as we get into tonight. This is an Alberta Clipper. The next one is also technically an Alberta Clipper. Though we're tapping into some moisture with the next one. So totals aren't going to be like an inch with the next storm system. Tomorrow's system is probably going to be the most problematic, I could say, in the next 7 days, which is some, I guess, good news and bad news, because it's the only one that's problematic, but of course we still have to get through it. But that is the one that could bring us a couple more inches of some snow. I've already had many of my teacher friends reach out to me, and as sure as you are, like myself, as a parent, we're wondering, you know, will things be closed tomorrow? Can we have a snow day? For the record, meteorologists do not make that call. It is totally on the school district. Tomorrow, I just wish that school districts would wait and kind of figure out conditions. I know as a parent, it is frustrating. Because you're like, do I have to come up with a plan or not? I'm going to try to have a plan in place for my kids and then go from there. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But that's the best advice, because the weather is just going to be so interesting tomorrow in that, again, if you get, say, 3 hours of rain versus 6 hours of rain after you picked up some snow, that could really change the conditions across the area. Thinking about getting snow, even if you have 3 inches of snow and then you get 6 hours of rain, that 3 inches of snow may become nothing. But if you had maybe 3 hours of rain and not much rain, that snow may still be there and it may be a slushy, slippery mess. So that's what tomorrow is really going to be. It's just going to be a lot of messiness and vary quite a bit, not only from town to town, but also within the town. It's going to vary quite a bit depending on where you live. So that's what we're looking at tomorrow. But that is tomorrow. Today we're here and we're still getting through our snow that is rolling across the area this morning. Again, I'll put it into motion. You can see, really starting to see more of that snow focused on the eastern counties, so stretching up towards Sand Lake, St. Clair, Macomb counties. Snow is starting to let up a bit through Lapeer and Oakland and almost Wayne County. I take that, though, if you are on that very eastern side, East Detroit, working your way towards all the Grosse Pointes. You're looking at that snow steadier for sure. But otherwise, we're starting to see it taper down in a couple spots. Gonna have some coffee this morning, sorry. All right, you're welcome for some of those updates. Keep your questions coming. I think we've covered the bases. Also, just want to have radar up here. So if you're just about to head out the door, if you don't have to work until 10 o'clock on the west side, be prepared for slippery conditions. Though, of course, hopefully road crews have been out there salting to improve the conditions. And then on the east side, it's obviously not good if you could wait probably another hour. If you could work from home for an hour, you'll have better travel conditions because it is going to be slippery. If you just have to get there, just be prepared to be late or for it to take a little bit longer, just because it's just enough snow to create some slippery conditions across the area. I'm going to look at my phone because I want to see. Oh, yes. Just wanted to see what the snow plows. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So I just pulled up something by Brighton. Okay, so this, you can't see. By the way, this snowplow is called Ebenezer Scoop. Perfect, thank you. Or Ebenezer Scoop. But he is on 96, and there was a picture of a car that slipped off the highway. So, obviously, again, looking at slippery driving conditions. Ice Cube, which is on 96 in Novi. You can see the lanes, I can say, but there is snow in between the lanes. It's not much. Not a lot's expected, but again, it is slippery. We've got Wolverine Whiteout in Howell. That one is driving on a lane right now, center lane, it's salting the center lane, which is snow covered. So a lot of times, of course, crews, they're out there, they're getting the main roads first, they're getting the main lanes first, and then they'll try to get the sides as well as those center turn lanes too. So that again was out towards Howell. I'm gonna take a look at this one. This one is in Michigami. That's also, it's not on the highway, but it is looking at snow-covered roadways. The on-ramp looks terrible to the highway. So just keeping that in mind. Let's see, we've got one here on US 23, north of Dundee. It's right on the side of the road as of right now. I mean, you've got I wish I could, I don't know if you guys can see that. Hard to see. But you don't really have good driving conditions there on US 23 right now. Definitely looks quite slippery. I'm going to do 75 down towards Monroe. Okay, that one's on the road. That is not good. Also not, okay, so these guys are on the roads, not 275. Bad driving conditions. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that view? That's how most of mine are. You can see the road, but right like outside of where tires have gone is snow. That is slippery. So you're changing lanes. That could be slippery. Right if you get close to the shoulder, that could be slippery. On ramps, off ramps, very slippery across the area this morning. Very poor, unfortunately. Again, it does not take much. This is also a lighter snow. This is a snow that does not have a lot of moisture with it, so it's flufferier. Anyways, it can create even slippery conditions. Sometimes when you have the wetter snow, it can melt a little faster, especially when you drive on it. This one doesn't necessarily do that. So that's what we're looking at. All right, still getting through that final push. Mount Clemens, starting to see that steadier snow arrive. Looking at some steadier snow also up into St. Clair County, getting close to Port Huron as we speak. I'm going to hold true here until we've got, again, this band going through the entire area. That is the worst of the snow. Still looking at snow behind that band. So even once you get through, you can kind of still pick it up. That darker blue here, we've had this ribbon move across the region this morning, and that's when visibility gets less than a mile, even less than a half a mile across the area. Behind that band, we still have some lighter snow and still slippery conditions. Again, I just checked road crew conditions here on US 23, and then even up here towards Howell, still not good, even though the snow has stopped. So just be prepared, allow some extra time. Don't be in a rush where you need to go. Yes, if you're a Michigander like myself, we've driven through it all, but still, just a reminder, nothing is worth trying to race to get somewhere. It's important just to be safe in these situations as you're driving, because this snow is the only thing that it's really impacting is the roads. It's not impacting, it's not accumulating heavy on wires or trees and leading to any down trees or down power lines. No, it's a light snow, but it is creating poor travel conditions across the area. So please keep that in mind for the remainder of this morning commute. We are coming up on 9:30, so we are still looking at this steadier snow rolling through. We probably have about another half hour before that ribbon of snow officially kind of moves out of the region and then moves off towards Lake Huron and then of course over towards Canada. We'll still keep the snow showers even through about the lunch hour today, but I do expect a quieter second half of this afternoon and then moving into this evening. This is a look at about 10 o'clock. Again, snow showers mainly on the western half. 11 o'clock, you can see that push farther to the east, and then even by noon and 1 o'clock, definitely more of the snow east. We'll still keep a couple of lighter snow showers, flurries more so in the northern tip of our region. So that's what we're looking at. In case you missed this earlier, this is what we're looking at in total with this system. It's not a lot. It's the annoying amount of snow. I really honestly need to figure out a better word here, because this is the snow that I call annoying, because honestly it is just enough to create bad travel conditions. And of course it's annoying to have to adjust your plans to get to where you need to go, because sometimes you really need to get to places. You might have a really important doctor's appointment or something like that. You need to get there, so you just have to get through these conditions. So it's just enough to make conditions very poor out there driving and very slippery. So that's what we're looking at for today's snow. I do want to of course touch on the snow that's on the way tonight. Like I mentioned, the snow that's coming through now will be out of the area by the lunch hour. We are going to be quiet this afternoon, aside from some flurries to the north, and then quiet for this evening. The evening commute today, totally fine. It's once we get into later tonight where snow picks back on up with our next storm system. Snow will start to push in around 9 p.m., but most of us won't see snow until closer to 11 p.m., even midnight tonight. And then once that snow moves through, we are going to have a couple hours of some snow across the entire area. And then we are going to be looking at warmer air coming in from the south and west, which should lead to a changeover from snow to rain. Of course, here on this model, this is a really clear-cut line between snow and rain, but anytime that you do have warmer air pushing in, there is the potential that we'll have some sleet and maybe some freezing rain right along kind of this banner here. And this is a look at about 5 o'clock. When we talk about sleet and freezing rain, that just equates to ice. So sleet is literally ice falling. It's melted snowflakes, or it's snowflakes that melted and then refreezed into ice. And then freezing rain falls as rain and it touches a surface that's at or below freezing, and that could also lead to ice. So there is the potential we'll see that. The reason that this model isn't showing more of that kind of pink color along here is that we also have the potential that this warm air is strong enough to move in, and with temperatures close to the freezing mark at the surface, that it might be just enough that we get the entire column of air above the surface to be above freezing, which would lead to rain eventually happening. So it might be more so that the snow initially starts off as snow and then it gets to a wetter snow. We might have a little bit of sleet and freezing rain, and then we do get to the rain. So it's a messy system, this next one. It's not clear cut with this one. But I can tell you again, we'll continue to see that warm air move in. That was a look at about 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. So this is about the middle part of our heaviest morning commute across the area. Quite a few of us will likely have changed over to rain by this point. But this is rain that is falling on potentially a couple inches of snow. So that rain could melt the snow. It also could just make it a lot slushier and even more slippery across the region, depending on if the road was treated or not with salt by this point. So I would still prepare for poor travel conditions tomorrow morning, but it's not going to be, oh, it's just about an inch of snow. No, it could be a slushy snow. It could still be all snow if you live to the north. It could be, maybe in an ideal situation, completely melted if you live farther to the south on the roadways. So again, it is going to be hit or miss. Then as we get throughout the morning, we'll slowly transition back from rain showers in some spots to snow showers as colder air filters in, and then that will trigger some lake effect snow showers as we get into Thursday and potentially also into Friday. So those snowfall amounts are much lighter, and we'll see if we can get some bands across the state. We have to get that perfect fetch for us here in Southeast Michigan. So I can tell you with tomorrow's system for sure, the farther north that you live, the better chance that you have to see all snow, and likely we'll have a couple inches of snow, maybe 3 to 5 inches of snow. With that, the farther south that you live, we're talking south of probably I-69, you are looking at a snow pattern most likely, maybe also some sleet and freezing rain mixed in there, and that's where the totals get a lot more muddled. You know, we're talking about you could maybe only have 1 inch of snow, but you also may still have up to 4 inches of snow with maybe a crust on it because you saw some sleet or freezing rain, or maybe it's dampered down a bit because it rained a little bit and then that created a crust once it refroze. Again, very complicated in terms of what you are going to see at your exact point. My best advice, tomorrow, be prepared also, tune in and have the latest look at what's going on in your particular path, and then also gauge what it looks like not only outside your door, but you can also see in where you're traveling to tomorrow morning, because they might have a completely different look and conditions in their area compared to where you're at, depending on where you're going. So tomorrow, again, not as clear cut as the snow that's coming through right now. Let's get back to what is coming through across the area at this moment. We do have, again, a snow rolling through. It looks like our ribbon of some steadier snow is now from Port Sanilac, just arriving the west side of Port Huron, and then now in the northern part of Lake St. Clair. So Mount Clemens, that heavier band is now just going off to your east, which is some good news there. City of Detroit, also steadiest band just off to your east, but of course, we still have the snow showers back behind that ribbon of some snow still kind of rolling on through. Even some snow back farther off to the west, up towards Flint. We are looking at, let's do a quick check of visibility. Mount Clemens, where again that band just rolled through, visibility is down to a half a mile. So we're likely going to see that reduced visibility through Port Huron and Port Sanilac with our next update. But take a look off to the west, improving conditions. City of Detroit now 2 miles. You were just down to about a half a mile 20 minutes ago. So improving conditions there. Pontiac now up to a mile and a half, also improving conditions. Howell back up to 8 miles, Ann Arbor back up to 6 miles, Adrian up to 5 miles. So again, looking at improving conditions once we get through this band of snow. We still have a couple hours left of the snow. Yes, you heard that right. Up towards Port Huron, you probably at least have another hour, if not maybe up to 2 more hours of snow. But locations like Ann Arbor, I wouldn't rule out a couple more flurries, but otherwise you're done. Same thing in Adrian, Monroe, you're starting to see the snow wrap up, maybe a couple more flurries or even some light snow, but you are looking at all of this ending. We'll continue to see that also through Pontiac. You're on that final edge. I do expect improving conditions there. Even with the snow ending, it's still going to take some time. There's only a set number of road crews out there for them to salt the roads and improve conditions. Mother Nature's also going to try to help us today too, with highs climbing above the freezing mark later this afternoon. So that should improve road conditions and even lead to, again, great conditions for the evening commute overall, just because we won't have new additional snow falling. And then also with the warmer temperatures, that should continue to melt any slick spots, especially if they're treated surfaces, on most, if not all, the roadways there. So that's the good news for the rest of the day today. Once we get through this snow that is continuing again to move on off to the east, we'll continue to see things let up, and then we prepare for tonight and the messier system that's on the way as we get into the early morning hours of tomorrow. Let's see. Don't have any new questions, which is some good news. Hopefully I've helped answer a lot of those questions as we get into tomorrow. But yeah, if anyone else has any questions, please let me know. Continue to stay posted with us. Of course, we'll continue to keep you posted here on the forecast for expected snow as we get into tonight and tomorrow. And then also, again, the extended forecast, not the greatest. If you're hoping for warmer conditions, it's going to be much colder this upcoming weekend. We're going to be looking at a few chances for lake effect snow Thursday, maybe also into Friday, and then there's some little systems that come through that also try to bring us a little bit of snow into this weekend. But overall, it's just going to be colder. I mean, highs are going to be near 20 at best. Especially on Sunday. Some places might not even make it to 20, and then we will have some mornings into the single digits in quite a few spots, especially Sunday morning is shaping up to be one of our colder mornings. So we're not done with the chill. In the extended, even looking farther out a couple weeks, I don't see a big stretch of warm weather coming our way. So it looks like we'll kind of keep the chill around, maybe not extremely cold. Even if we had near average temperatures, you know, that would put us already at this moment in the upper 30s, but we haven't been near that for quite a few days. We've been well below average for this time of year. And our snowfall has been above average too. In case you're wondering, if we were to add this to it, that would probably put us over 6 inches of snow so far for this year, which is some good news. And it's about double our average by this time this year. So that's some good news there. Of course, we'll get totals. I'll have those coming up at 7 on Channel 7 at noon today. Snowfall totals for this morning. We'll have an update on expected snowfall totals getting into this evening, or more so, excuse me, not this evening, don't be worried, more so tonight and into tomorrow. Didn't want to freak you out there, misspeaking there. But yeah, that is what we're looking at. Again, still looking at some of this snow rolling on through. We do have some steady snow continuing right now. We'll get through this like final band is all I want to help you out if you do live here towards Port Huron and then down towards Mount Clemens. It's that final kind of ribbon of some steadier snow at this moment that is stretching Port Sanilac down along the road there through Port Huron along I-94 down towards New Baltimore and Mount Clemens. That's where we've got the band of some steadier snow at this moment that is going to continue to move off to the east. Oh no, we got a big box. Now we're going to shift again. Okay. But we are looking at the snow letting up just a bit. I'm going to zoom into this region here. Of course, this is one of our heavily traveled areas for the morning commute. City of Detroit still looking at a decent amount of snow. Grosse Pointe rolling through, St. Clair Shores as well, Warren, Sterling Heights, Ferndale, Royal Oak, all the way up to Troy. Even still farther off to the west in through West Bloomfield, Southfield, Dearborn Heights, still looking at some of the snow. But thankfully we're starting to see it let up just a bit downriver. Also getting even farther off towards the airport where we had some steadier snow, now quieter. Even working your way through most of Monroe County, 275 conditions should be improving as long as road crews are out there. Thankfully, you're not dealing with the snow falling for the most part, almost completely ending as you take 275 north to up to 696 and the 96 interchange. Novi off towards South Lyon and Brighton, conditions should improve, but again, the snow has already fallen, so road crews will need to be out there to help clear some of that. Better conditions through Highland, Commerce Township, Waterford, you name it. Better conditions coming your way. We are looking at still a little bit of snow along I-69 from Flint as you work your way towards Port Huron. Looking at some snow still falling there, even though that initial band has moved more to the east at this moment. We'll continue to see the snow slow as we move through this morning and then end. Last bit of at least this band of snow will likely be out of here by 11:30 or noon, though we will keep a couple of more lighter snow showers, more so flurries. I still want to say there's flurries are, just kind of falling or whatever. And there is a difference. Light snow is a little bit more, has a little bit more of a purpose getting to the ground. So we'll still go with light snow showers up towards the tip of the thumb, though really no accumulation with them as we get towards this afternoon. The rest of us, though, we're dry this afternoon. Good evening commute. Temperatures will be above the freezing mark. And then as we get into tonight after 9 o'clock, that's when we'll keep an eye on the next round of snow arriving in from the southwest and then continuing to lift to the northeast as the morning progresses. That's going to be our next storm, which will bring us a wide variety of things across the area. Quick check on temperatures. More of us are getting up to 20 now. Woohoo! 25 in Mount Clemens, 27 in Port Huron, even where the snow is just arriving. Still a couple teens on the board. Howell, Pontiac, and Port Sanilac. Eventually we'll get into the 20s. And then, again, making a run for some of the mid-30s today. It doesn't feel like the 20s in a lot of spots. Winds have picked up today. We had lighter winds yesterday. Today they're going to pick up, especially after this front rolls through. So it is feeling more like single digits as you step out the door in many spots this morning. Feeling like 7 in Ann Arbor, Howell as well, Adrian as well. So please bundle up as you step out the door this morning. Let's take a quick look at the winds. They're still out of the south, southwest at about more so 10 to 15 miles per hour. We will have a couple of gusts today, 25, maybe up to 30, especially as we get towards this afternoon. Winds will be out of the southwest like they are kind of for the most part. They're still mainly out of the south right now. They'll shift a little more southwest, which would pull in some warmer air. Again, that's why we're expecting highs to be in the mid-30s, and then we're going to kind of hold only falling a few degrees as we get into tonight before the next system arrives. So that's where we'll be around the freezing mark rather than the teens like we were this past night. So just to look ahead. All right, let's take a quick look at radar again, looking at some of that steadier snow arriving from Port Sanilac down through Port Huron and even farther to the south. Going to get through that band, and then you still have about another hour left, at least, maybe a little bit longer, of some snow rolling through. But again, I think I'm going to leave this radar sweeping around here for just a little bit longer so you're able to kind of see what's going on. But I will be back at noon on 7 News Detroit. Of course, Dave is in tonight. He'll continue to keep you posted, and then Mike will be in tomorrow morning to keep you posted on the conditions as they are unfolding. I do expect tomorrow to be messier. I think that's going to be the best kind of word to describe this, because today it was straightforward, light bit of snow. enough snow to create slippery driving conditions and poor visibility. Tomorrow, it's going to be messier. We're going to look at a mixture of snow and rain, maybe some sleet, maybe some freezing rain mixed in. So all of that is just going to make messier conditions and a wide variety of conditions across the area. So continue to stay focused on this. The weather will continue to keep you posted as well, and then get you through tonight and tomorrow, and then on to better conditions of coldness and light snow. I hope you heard my sarcasm there. But I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully this helped you out this morning. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day. Let this snow end. If it's snowing now, just give it a little bit longer before you head out. Conditions will improve this afternoon, and I hope you can get to where you need to go nice and safely. All right, have a good one, everyone.